to football, Arsenal must try to respond to Manchester City's 3-0 win over Brentford on Saturday evening. Arsenal are in action in the 4:30 kickoff on Sunday when they go to West Ham. City's 3-0 win on Saturday means that they are 3 points behind Arsenal, having played the same amount of games. Elsewhere on Sunday, Aston Villa will hope to further cement their place in the top 5 with a win at Burnley. That's a 2 p.m. kickoff. Crystal Palace host Everton at 2, while Nottingham Forest entertain Newcastle also at 2. In the Scottish Premiership, it's a huge match in the when the Old Firm meet at 12 between Celtic and Rangers. This after there was another twist in the title race on Saturday when Hearts drew 1-1 with Motherwell. Hearts are now 4 points clear of Celtic, but Celtic have that game in hand against Rangers today. Other fixtures today: League 2 playoffs between Grimsby and Salford, that's at 3, and Chesterfield and Notts County at 6. While in the Women's FA Cup, it's semi-final day with Liverpool taking on Brighton at 12:15 and Chelsea host Manchester City at 3:30. In golf, England's Alex Fitzpatrick leads the Truist Championship by one shot after a third round 64, while Lucas Herbert on 21 under par holds a three-stroke lead ahead of the final round of Live Golf Virginia. In tennis, Jannik Sinner opened up at his home Italian Open with a 6-3, 6-4 win over Sebastian Offner. While in the NBA, Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Detroit Pistons 116-109 to reduce their NBA playoff series deficit to 2-1, while Oklahoma City Thunder are one win away from NBA Conference Finals after beating the LA Lakers 131-108. That's all for now. We'll have more later. Latest sports news on Sunday. I'm Aidan Perkins. We'll start with boxing. Daniel Dubois has beaten Fabio Wardley in the 11th round of a thrilling All-British Heavyweight Classic to become two-time world champion. Wardley floored fellow Briton Dubois early on, and then Dubois also went down in the third round before he responded with a barrage of heavy shots, and eventually the referee stopped the fight with Wardley struggling. It was a true classic in Manchester in front of 18,000 fans, and promoter Frank Warren confirmed afterwards that there is a rematch clause. Wardley lost for the first time in 22 fights, while Dubois picked up his 23rd professional victory. Moving on to football, Arsenal must try to respond to Manchester City's 3-0 win over Brentford on Saturday evening. Arsenal are in action in the 4:30 kickoff on Sunday when they go to West Ham. City's 3-0 win on Saturday means that they are 3 points behind Arsenal, having played the same amount of games. Elsewhere on Sunday, Aston Villa will hope to further cement their place in the top 5 with a win at Burnley. That's a 2 p.m. kickoff. Crystal Palace host Everton at 2, while Nottingham Forest entertain Newcastle also at 2. In the Scottish Premiership, it's a huge match in the when the Old Firm meet at 12 between Celtic and Rangers. This after there was another twist in the title race on Saturday when Hearts drew 1-1 with Motherwell. Hearts are now 4 points clear of Celtic, but Celtic have that game in hand against Rangers today. Other fixtures today: League 2 playoffs between Grimsby and Salford, that's at 3, and Chesterfield and Notts County at 6. While in the Women's FA Cup, it's semi-final day with Liverpool taking on Brighton at 12:15 and Chelsea host Manchester City at 3:30. In golf, England's Alex Fitzpatrick leads the Truist Championship by one shot after a third round 64, while Lucas Herbert on 21 under par holds a three-stroke lead ahead of the final round of Live Golf Virginia. In tennis, Jannik Sinner opened up at his home Italian Open with a 6-3, 6-4 win over Sebastian Offner. While in the NBA, Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Detroit Pistons 116-109 to reduce their NBA playoff series deficit to 2-1, while Oklahoma City Thunder are one win away from NBA Conference Finals after beating the LA Lakers 131-108. That's all for now. We'll have more later. Latest sports news on Sunday. I'm Aidan Perkins. We'll start with boxing. Daniel Dubois has beaten Fabio Wardley in the 11th round of a thrilling All-British Heavyweight Classic to become two-time world champion. Wardley floored fellow Briton Dubois early on, and then Dubois also went down in the third round before he responded with a barrage of heavy shots, and eventually the referee stopped the fight with Wardley struggling. It was a true classic in Manchester in front of 18,000 fans. Promoter Frank Warren confirmed afterwards that there is a rematch clause. Wardley lost for the first time in 22 fights, while Dubois picked up his 23rd professional victory. Moving on to football, Arsenal must try to respond to Manchester City's 3-0 win over Brentford on Saturday evening. Arsenal are in action in the 4:30 kick-off on Sunday when they go to West Ham. City's 3-0 win on Saturday means that they are 3 points behind Arsenal, having played the same amount of games. Elsewhere on Sunday, Aston Villa will hope to further cement their place in the top 5 with a win at Burnley. That's a 2 p.m. kick-off. Crystal Palace host Everton at 2, while Nottingham Forest entertain Newcastle also at 2. In the Scottish Premiership, it's a huge match in the when the Old Firm meet at 12 between Celtic and Rangers. This after there was another twist in the title race on Saturday when Hearts drew 1-1 with Motherwell. Hearts are now 4 points clear of Celtic, but Celtic have that game in hand against Rangers today. Well, the fixtures today: League 2 playoffs between Grimsby and Salford, that's at 3, and Chesterfield and Notts County at 6. While in the Women's FA Cup, it's semi-final day with Liverpool taking on Brighton at 12:15 and Chelsea host Manchester City at 3:30. In golf, England's Alex Fitzpatrick leads the Truist Championship by one shot after a third round 64, while Lucas Herbert on 21 under par holds a three-stroke lead ahead of the final round of Live Golf Virginia. In tennis, Jannik Sinner opened up at his home Italian Open with a 6-3, 6-4 win over Sebastian Offner. While in the NBA, Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Detroit Pistons 116-109 to reduce their NBA playoff series deficit to 2-1, while Oklahoma City Thunder are one win away from NBA Conference Finals after beating the LA Lakers 131-108. That's all for now, we'll have more later. Latest sports news on Sunday, I'm Aidan Perkins. We'll start with boxing. Daniel Dubois has beaten Fabio Wardley in the 11th round of a thrilling all-British heavyweight classic to become two-time world champion. Wardley floored fellow Briton Dubois early on, and then Dubois also went down in the third round before he responded with a barrage of heavy shots, and eventually the referee stopped the fight with Wardley struggling. It was a true classic in Manchester in front of 18,000 fans. Promoter Frank Warren confirmed afterwards that there is a rematch clause. Wardley lost for the first time in 22 fights, while Dubois picked up his 23rd professional victory. Moving on to football, Arsenal must try to respond to Manchester City's 3-0 win over Brentford on Saturday evening. Arsenal are in action in the 4:30 kick-off on Sunday when they go to West Ham. City's 3-0 win on Saturday means that they are 3 points behind Arsenal, having played the same amount of games. Elsewhere on Sunday, Aston Villa will hope to further cement their place in the top 5 with a win at Burnley. That's a 2 p.m. kick-off. Crystal Palace host Everton at 2, while Nottingham Forest entertain Newcastle also at 2. In the Scottish Premiership, it's a huge match in the when the Old Firm meet at 12 between Celtic and Rangers. This after there was another twist in the title race on Saturday when Hearts drew 1-1 with Motherwell. Hearts are now 4 points clear of Celtic, but Celtic have that game in hand against Rangers today. Well, the fixtures today: League 2 playoffs between Grimsby and Salford, that's at 3, and Chesterfield and Notts County at 6. While in the Women's FA Cup, it's semi-final day with Liverpool taking on Brighton at 12:15 and Chelsea host Manchester City at 3:30. In golf, England's Alex Fitzpatrick leads the Truist Championship by one shot after a third round 64, while Lucas Herbert on 21 under par holds a three-stroke lead ahead of the final round of Live Golf Virginia. In tennis, Jannik Sinner opened up at his home Italian Open with a 6-3, 6-4 win over Sebastian Offner. While in the NBA, Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Detroit Pistons 116-109 to reduce their NBA playoff series deficit to 2-1, while Oklahoma City Thunder are one win away from NBA Conference Finals after beating the LA Lakers 131-108. That's all for now, we'll have more later. Latest sports news on Sunday, I'm Aidan Perkins. We'll start with boxing. Daniel Dubois has beaten Fabio Wardley in the 11th round of a thrilling all-British heavyweight classic to become two-time world champion. Wardley floored fellow Briton Dubois early on, and then Dubois also went down in the third round before he responded with a barrage of heavy shots, and eventually the referee stopped the fight with Wardley struggling. It was a true classic in Manchester in front of 18,000 fans, and promoter Frank Warren confirmed afterwards that there is a rematch clause. Wardley lost for the first time in 22 fights, while Dubois picked up his 23rd professional victory. Moving on to football, Arsenal must try to respond to Manchester City's 3-0 win over Brentford on Saturday evening. Arsenal are in action in the 4:30 kickoff on Sunday when they go to West Ham. City's 3-0 win on Saturday means that they are 3 points behind Arsenal, having played the same amount of games. Elsewhere on Sunday, Aston Villa will hope to further cement their place in the top 5 with a win at Burnley. That's a 2 p.m. kickoff. Crystal Palace host Everton at 2, while Nottingham Forest entertain Newcastle also at 2. In the Scottish Premiership, it's a huge match in the when the Old Firm meet at 12 between Celtic and Rangers. This after there was another twist in the title race on Saturday when Hearts drew 1-1 with Motherwell. Hearts are now 4 points clear of Celtic, but Celtic have that game in hand against Rangers today. Well, the fixtures today: League 2 playoffs between Grimsby and Salford, that's at 3, and Chesterfield and Notts County at 6. While in the Women's FA Cup, it's semi-final day with Liverpool taking on Brighton at 12:15 and Chelsea host Manchester City at 3:30. In golf, England's Alex Fitzpatrick leads the Truist Championship by one shot after a third round 64, while Lucas Herbert on 21 under par holds a three-stroke lead ahead of the final round of Live Golf Virginia. In tennis, Jannik Sinner opened up at his home Italian Open with a 6-3, 6-4 win over Sebastian Offner. While in the NBA, Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Detroit Pistons 116-109 to reduce their NBA playoff series deficit to 2-1, while Oklahoma City Thunder are one win away from NBA Conference Finals after beating the LA Lakers 131-108. That's all for now, we'll have more later. Latest sports news on Sunday, I'm Aidan Perkins. We'll start with boxing. Daniel Dubois has beaten Fabio Wardley in the 11th round of a thrilling all-British heavyweight classic to become two-time world champion. Wardley floored fellow Briton Dubois early on, and then Dubois also went down in the third round before he responded with a barrage of heavy shots, and eventually the referee stopped the fight with Wardley struggling. It was a true classic in Manchester in front of 18,000 fans, and promoter Frank Warren confirmed afterwards that there is a rematch clause. Wardley lost for the first time in 22 fights, while Dubois picked up his 23rd professional victory. Moving on to football, Arsenal must try to respond to Manchester City's 3-0 win over Brentford on Saturday evening. Arsenal are in action in the 4:30 kickoff on Sunday when they go to West Ham. City's 3-0 win on Saturday means that they are 3 points behind Arsenal, having played the same amount of games. Elsewhere on Sunday, Aston Villa will hope to further cement their place in the top 5 with a win at Burnley. That's a 2 p.m. kickoff. Crystal Palace host Everton at 2, while Nottingham Forest entertain Newcastle also at 2. In the Scottish Premiership, it's a huge match in the when the Old Firm meet at 12 between Celtic and Rangers. This after there was another twist in the title race on Saturday when Hearts drew 1-1 with Motherwell. Hearts are now 4 points clear of Celtic, but Celtic have that game in hand against Rangers today. Well, the fixtures today: League 2 playoffs between Grimsby and Salford, that's at 3, and Chesterfield and Notts County at 6. While in the Women's FA Cup, it's semi-final day with Liverpool taking on Brighton at 12:15 and Chelsea host Manchester City at 3:30. In golf, England's Alex Fitzpatrick leads the Truist Championship by one shot after a third round 64, while Lucas Herbert on 21 under par holds a three-stroke lead ahead of the final round of Live Golf Virginia. In tennis, Jannik Sinner opened up at his home Italian Open with a 6-3, 6-4 win over Sebastian Offner. While in the NBA, Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Detroit Pistons 116-109 to reduce their NBA playoff series deficit to 2-1, while Oklahoma City Thunder are one win away from NBA Conference Finals after beating the LA Lakers 131-108. That's all for now, we'll have more later. Latest sports news on Sunday, I'm Aidan Perkins will start with boxing. Daniel Dubois has beaten Fabio Wardley in the 11th round of a thrilling All-British heavyweight classic to become two-time world champion. Wardley floored fellow Briton Dubois early on, and then Dubois also went down in the third round before he responded with a barrage of heavy shots, and eventually the referee stopped the fight with Wardley struggling. It was a true classic in Manchester in front of 18,000 fans, and promoter Frank Warren confirmed afterwards that there is a rematch clause. Wardley lost for the first time in 22 fights, while Dubois picked up his 23rd professional victory. Moving on to football, Arsenal must try to respond to Manchester City's 3-0 win over Brentford on Saturday evening. Arsenal are in action in the 4:30 kickoff on Sunday when they go to West Ham. City's 3-0 win on Saturday means that they are 3 points behind Arsenal, having played the same amount of games. Elsewhere on Sunday, Aston Villa will hope to further cement their place in the top 5 with a win at Burnley. That's a 2 p.m. kickoff. Crystal Palace host Everton at 2, while Nottingham Forest entertain Newcastle also at 2. In the Scottish Premiership, it's a huge match in the when the Old Firm meet at 12 between Celtic and Rangers. This after there was another twist in the title race on Saturday when Hearts drew 1-1 with Motherwell. Hearts are now 4 points clear of Celtic, but Celtic have that game in hand against Rangers today. Well, the fixtures today: League 2 playoffs between Grimsby and Salford, that's at 3, and Chesterfield and Notts County at 6. While in the Women's FA Cup, it's semi-final day with Liverpool taking on Brighton at 12:15 and Chelsea host Manchester City at 3:30. In golf, England's Alex Fitzpatrick leads the Truist Championship by one shot after a third round 64, while Lucas Herbert on 21 under par holds a three-stroke lead ahead of the final round of Live Golf Virginia. In tennis, Jannik Sinner opened up at his home Italian Open with a 6-3, 6-4 win over Sebastian Offner. While in the NBA, Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Detroit Pistons 116-109 to reduce their NBA playoff series deficit to 2-1, while Oklahoma City Thunder are 1 win away from NBA Conference Finals after beating the LA Lakers 131-108. That's all for now. We'll have more later. Latest sports news on Sunday. I'm Aidan Perkins. We'll start with boxing. Daniel Dubois has beaten Fabio Wardley in the 11th round of a thrilling All-British heavyweight classic to become two-time world champion. Wardley floored fellow Briton Dubois early on, and then Dubois also went down in the third round before he responded with a barrage of heavy shots, and eventually the referee stopped the fight with Wardley struggling. It was a true classic in Manchester in front of 18,000 fans, and promoter Frank Warren confirmed afterwards that there is a rematch clause. Wardley lost for the first time in 22 fights, while Dubois picked up his 23rd professional victory. Moving on to football, Arsenal must try to respond to Manchester City's 3-0 win over Brentford on Saturday evening. Arsenal are in action in the 4:30 kickoff on Sunday when they go to West Ham. City's 3-0 win on Saturday means that they are 3 points behind Arsenal, having played the same amount of games. Elsewhere on Sunday, Aston Villa will hope to further cement their place in the top 5 with a win at Burnley. That's a 2 p.m. kickoff. Crystal Palace host Everton at 2, while Nottingham Forest entertain Newcastle also at 2. In the Scottish Premiership, it's a huge match in the when the Old Firm meet at 12 between Celtic and Rangers. This after there was another twist in the title race on Saturday when Hearts drew 1-1 with Motherwell. Hearts are now 4 points clear of Celtic, but Celtic have that game in hand against Rangers today. Well, the fixtures today: League 2 playoffs between Grimsby and Salford, that's at 3, and Chesterfield and Notts County at 6. While in the Women's FA Cup, it's semi-final day with Liverpool taking on Brighton at 12:15 and Chelsea host Manchester City at 3:30. In golf, England's Alex Fitzpatrick leads the Truist Championship by one shot after a third round 64, while Lucas Herbert on 21 under par holds a three-stroke lead ahead of the final round of Live Golf Virginia. In tennis, Jannik Sinner opened up at his home Italian Open with a 6-3, 6-4 win over Sebastian Offner. Well, in the NBA, Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Detroit Pistons 116-109 to reduce their NBA playoff series deficit to 2-1, while Oklahoma City Thunder are one win away from NBA Conference Finals after beating the LA Lakers 131-108. That's all for now, we'll have more later. Latest sports news on Sunday, I'm Aidan Perkins. We'll start with boxing. Daniel Dubois has beaten Fabio Wardley in the 11th round of a thrilling All-British Heavyweight Classic to become two-time world champion. Wardley floored fellow Briton Dubois early on, and then Dubois also went down in the third round before he responded with a barrage of heavy shots, and eventually the referee stopped the fight with Wardley struggling. It was a true classic in Manchester in front of 18,000 fans, and promoter Frank Warren confirmed afterwards that there is a rematch clause. Wardley lost for the first time in 22 fights, while Dubois picked up his 23rd professional victory. Moving on to football, Arsenal must try to respond to Manchester City's 3-0 win over Brentford on Saturday evening. Arsenal are in action in the 4:30 kickoff on Sunday when they go to West Ham. City's 3-0 win on Saturday means that they are 3 points behind Arsenal, having played the same amount of games. Elsewhere on Sunday, Aston Villa will hope to further cement their place in the top 5 with a win at Burnley. That's a 2 p.m. kickoff. Crystal Palace host Everton at 2, while Nottingham Forest entertain Newcastle also at 2. In the Scottish Premiership, it's a huge match in the when the Old Firm meet at 12 between Celtic and Rangers. This after there was another twist in the title race on Saturday when Hearts drew 1-1 with Motherwell. Hearts are now 4 points clear of Celtic, but Celtic have that game in hand against Rangers today. Well, the fixtures today: League 2 playoffs between Grimsby and Salford, that's at 3, and Chesterfield and Notts County at 6. While in the Women's FA Cup, it's semi-final day with Liverpool taking on Brighton at 12:15 and Chelsea host Manchester City at 3:30. In golf, England's Alex Fitzpatrick leads the Truist Championship by one shot after a third round 64, while Lucas Herbert on 21 under par holds a three-stroke lead ahead of the final round of Live Golf Virginia. In tennis, Jannik Sinner opened up at his home Italian Open with a 6-3, 6-4 win over Sebastian Offner. While in the NBA, Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Detroit Pistons 116-109 to reduce their NBA playoff series deficit to 2-1, while Oklahoma City Thunder are one win away from NBA Conference Finals after beating the LA Lakers 131-108. That's all for now, we'll have more later. Latest sports news on Sunday, I'm Aidan Perkins. We'll start with boxing. Daniel Dubois has beaten Fabio Wardley in the 11th round of a thrilling All-British Heavyweight Classic to become two-time world champion. Wardley floored fellow Briton Dubois early on, and then Dubois also went down in the third round before he responded with a barrage of heavy shots, and eventually the referee stopped the fight with Wardley struggling. It was a true classic in Manchester in front of 18,000 fans, and promoter Frank Warren confirmed afterwards that there is a rematch clause. Wardley lost for the first time in 22 fights, while Dubois picked up his 23rd professional victory. Moving on to football, Arsenal must try to respond to Manchester City's 3-0 win over Brentford on Saturday evening. Arsenal are in action in the 4:30 kickoff on Sunday when they go to West Ham. City's 3-0 win on Saturday means that they are 3 points behind Arsenal, having played the same amount of games. Elsewhere on Sunday, Aston Villa will hope to further cement their place in the top 5 with a win at Burnley. That's a 2 p.m. kickoff. Crystal Palace host Everton at 2, while Nottingham Forest entertain Newcastle also at 2. In the Scottish Premiership, it's a huge match in the when the Old Firm meet at 12 between Celtic and Rangers. This after there was another twist in the title race on Saturday when Hearts drew 1-1 with Motherwell. Hearts are now 4 points clear of Celtic, but Celtic have that game in hand against Rangers today. Well, the fixtures today: League 2 playoffs between Grimsby and Salford, that's at 3, and Chesterfield and Notts County at 6. While in the Women's FA Cup, it's semi-final day with Liverpool taking on Brighton at 12:15 and Chelsea host Manchester City at 3:30. In golf, England's Alex Fitzpatrick leads the Truist Championship by one shot after a third round 64, while Lucas Herbert on 21 under par holds a three-stroke lead ahead of the final round of Live Golf Virginia. In tennis, Jannik Sinner opened up at his home Italian Open with a 6-3, 6-4 win over Sebastian Offner. While in the NBA, Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Detroit Pistons 116-109 to reduce their NBA playoff series deficit to 2-1, while Oklahoma City Thunder are one win away from NBA Conference Finals after beating the LA Lakers 131-108. That's all for now, we'll have more later. Latest sports news on Sunday, I'm Aidan Perkins. We'll start with boxing. Daniel Dubois has beaten Fabio Wardley in the 11th round of a thrilling all-British heavyweight classic to become two-time world champion. Wardley floored fellow Briton Dubois early on, and then Dubois also went down in the third round before he responded with a barrage of heavy shots, and eventually the referee stopped the fight with Wardley struggling. It was a true classic in Manchester in front of 18,000 fans, and promoter Frank Warren confirmed afterwards that there is a rematch clause. Wardley lost for the first time in 22 fights, while Dubois picked up his 23rd professional victory. Moving on to football, Arsenal must try to respond to Manchester City's 3-0 win over Brentford on Saturday evening. Arsenal are in action in the 4:30 kickoff on Sunday when they go to West Ham. City's 3-0 win on Saturday means that they are 3 points behind Arsenal, having played the same amount of games. Elsewhere on Sunday, Aston Villa will hope to further cement their place in the top 5 with a win at Burnley. That's a 2 p.m. kickoff. Crystal Palace host Everton at 2, while Nottingham Forest entertain Newcastle also at 2. In the Scottish Premiership, it's a huge match in the when the Old Firm meet at 12 between Celtic and Rangers. This after there was another twist in the title race on Saturday when Hearts drew 1-1 with Motherwell. Hearts are now 4 points clear of Celtic, but Celtic have that game in hand against Rangers today. Other fixtures today: League 2 playoffs between Grimsby and Salford, that's at 3, and Chesterfield and Notts County at 6. While in the Women's FA Cup, it's semi-final day with Liverpool taking on Brighton at 12:15 and Chelsea host Manchester City at 3:30. In golf, England's Alex Fitzpatrick leads the Truist Championship by 1 shot.
About league finish, there have been suggestions over the course of the last couple of weeks about what might happen to the Champions League places. Well, it might not matter if Aston Villa finish higher than they currently stand in 5th. The match is underway. I'll bring you the team news in a moment. A victory today for Villa would see them go above Liverpool in 4th. A draw would not. They'd be behind the Reds on goal difference. Burnley have of course made a host of changes. They're already relegated. I'll go through those lineups in a moment, but myself, Rob Eddy and Charlie O'Brien taking you through this match. What are you expecting?
Yeah, obviously the focus is entirely on Villa for this match. Burnley already down and out, but Villa, they really need these points. I know we're looking forward to whether they might be able to get ahead of Liverpool, but just behind them is Bournemouth, who are on a 16-game unbeaten run. Meanwhile, Villa themselves have picked up just 7 points in 8 matches. So, although they've got 2 bites at the cherry now with the Europa League final as well, they'll want to get Champions League secured as soon as possible. And I think we'll probably see a match that reflects that. I'm expecting Villa to be hammering the door down of Burnley.
They have actually made fewer changes than Burnley, despite playing on Thursday. Burnley haven't played since the start of the month. That was a 3-1 defeat at Leeds. 6 changes from that side. I mean, they're well rested anyway, but of course there's a sense that maybe it's just giving players a run out at the end of the season with the relegation already confirmed. As I mentioned, you might not have heard, 6 changes for Burnley, and those are Weiss, Tanzebi, Perez, Lewis, Ogachukwu and Medjbury coming into the starting lineup in place of Dubravka, Ekdal, Hartman, Laurent, Ward-Prowse and Humphreys. And 3 changes from Villa. That's 3 changes from the victory over Forest on Thursday. 3 changes of Barkley, Matson and Mings starting, with Digne, Torres and Buendia, the 3 to make way. Early possession stats have been in Burnley's favour, but there's only 2 minutes ticking over. And obviously into the third. Villa haven't yet really had a kick of the ball so far, but nothing in the final third. Burnley have got possession for the sake of it at the moment. Anthony Taylor's just having a chat with a few players. Tielemans has actually stood over a free kick foul. Burnley didn't agree. It's near the halfway line, but defenders going up from the back. Konza, Mings, of course Lindelof as well. Tielemans runs up to the ball and then aborts before he delivers into the edge of the 18-yard box, but it's a towering header clear by Burnley. Ball comes back down the right-hand side. Villa maintain their attack, slid into the area, shooting chance, and it's dragged wide of the far post. Decent position to be in the end, but couldn't find the target. Rodgers is what it was. Arguably starting on the left, but running down the right channel, and he's found a massive hole. Shot not the best.
Yeah, it was a lovely pass in from McGinn, actually, who looks to still be riding high off his fantastic performance in the Europa League semi-final second leg. And yeah, just caught Burnley a little bit unawares there with that reverse pass inside, and Morgan Rodgers, given the space that he was in and the season he's having, he should be hitting the target from there.
Burnley on the attack down the right-hand side, trying to get forward with Shauna, but he's dispossessed. He's won it back. Cross in towards Fleming in the middle. Is the only Burnley player there. He goes down, jumping for the ball, hoping that he might get at least an intervention from VAR for a penalty. But considering he was the only target, that's great play from Shauna down the right-hand side. Yes, he did lose the ball, but he won it back vigorously, and that's not a bad ball in, just too high for Fleming.
Absolutely. Fleming today looking to be just the fifth Burnley player to score 10 goals in a Premier League season, but he needed that one to be a little bit lower because he's not a small man, and if that was a better cross, he would have been able to get his head on that.
Yeah, he's between three defenders as well, so Villa had actually tracked the run pretty well, but it wasn't that far away from being a good cross. Remains 0-0 going into the 5th minute. There are, of course, other games going on, just in case you wanted to know. Celtic beat Rangers 3-1 in the Scottish Premiership, so I'm guessing that effectively everybody thought Rangers were out of the title race anyway after the defeat to Hearts, but they've been beaten again, so it looks to be between Celtic Hearts. They of course play each other the final day of the season. That's finished, that's a result. Celtic 3-1 winners. And the Premier League, 3 matches including this one. Everton have taken an early lead at Crystal Palace. It's still goalless. Nottingham Forest, Newcastle. Villa on the attack down the right hand side, cross in from McGinn, headed away by Lewis, back to the edge of the box, hammered downfield by Anthony, and there's a chase for the ball, and Shauna again is making himself a real nuisance. He's got the wrong side of Tyrone Mings. Tyrone Mings, to his credit, has won it back. Shauna is right on the touchline trying to keep it in. Shauna's then tackled the ball into touch. He felt it came off Mings. If people were thinking, as I might have suggested, of course, early on, that Burnley were on the beach, as it were, Shauna is doing his best to prove that wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. He looks a man full of energy and desire to get something, prove something for his fans and for Burnley supporters. He's now brought down and wins a free kick. So, yeah, really impressive stuff from the former Lazio man so far.
Yeah, he's certainly shown a bit of pace, and it's the willingness to fight for the lost cause, as Matson has just fouled him, so it's a free kick to Burnley. And it's not particularly in a dangerous area, but obviously a chance to load the box. Game into the 7th minute, 0-0. The only effort at goal was Morgan Rodgers, and that was a good chance, but he didn't hit the target. Burnley haven't yet pulled the trigger, but they might do with Anthony coming across to the right-hand side to swing this free kick in. It's only about 5 yards from the touchline, and that's not too far away. Villa, I mean, that's just too far ahead of Tanzabi, who didn't really attack the ball. A couple of Villa players are claiming they were fouled in the build-up. Tanzabi, had he got on the end of the ball, might have been offside, as it turns out. But it's a dangerous-looking cross that doesn't find a teammate.
Yeah, Villa seemed pretty happy that one was just going to sail out. It looked like a couple of them were on the floor, as you said, but it looked like they were pretty relaxed about defending that. But had Burnley just got a couple more winning runners on that far post, then it might have been dangerous.
Ball hit long by Martinez into the Burnley half, won by Carl Walker, who clears it back down the line. He was being closed down. Medjbury has managed to get a run down the right hand side, and he controls it well under pressure. Now the ball is played infield. Luis is under a little bit of pressure, somehow works it across to Pires, not in full control. Cash wins it back. Anthony went down, didn't get a free kick. Could be a chance for Burnley Villa down the right hand side. Cash works a 1-2, and that's fired in, but it's too close to the keeper. He was trying to cross, the opportunities were there. Burnley counter straight away with showing it down the right hand side once again. Little bit of space left of the D. Shoot an opportunity maybe, and that's parried away. Follow-up effort in the back of the net. Is he offside? Anthony's put it in. He's running across towards the corner flag. He's celebrating. Burnley have got a goal, providing the flag. Well, the flag stayed down. VAR will check it, and Burnley are in front.
Yeah, this first 8 minutes has not gone according to what we teed it up as. Burnley have looked far the better side, and they've left Villa to resort to a couple of counter-attacking opportunities. I thought that was really lax play from Villa there. Once again, they just seemed like they didn't actually believe they were in trouble at any point, and then all of a sudden Anthony was through on goal and he did what he needed to do. It's Shauna, the man of the moment, again coming down this right hand side, plays it in, and then it's just really lax from Villa. I think he just onside. I think Matsson's playing him onside. Martinez can only parry it into the path of Anthony, and it's 1-0 Burnley. Yeah,
Fleming was offside for sure, but he didn't go for the ball, so this is probably going to stand, this goal, as the shot came in. It's not a bad shot at all. Martinez might be disappointed that he didn't do a little bit better. Yes, he saved it, but he could have parried it round the post. Obviously, I do look at the negatives first. That's just my way. But the goal has stood, so Jayden Nancy was onside, and it's been confirmed. Villa, as Charlie mentioned, a little bit lax. There's been a couple of good balls put in from the right hand side already. Bearing in mind, Burnley aren't exactly free scoring in the Premier League, or haven't been this season. Teasing balls in there, which Villa, that's always the danger, isn't it? Big European night, very comfortable winners, through to a final. Turning up at a relegated side already. Maybe they're just a bit too nonchalant. They have had a couple of attempts, Villa, but so have Burnley, and Burnley have scored. And they're in front, and it would be typical of Burnley when the result has already confirmed that they register another win in the Premier League. Obviously, they've done better at home than they have done away. No wins on the road, but they're on home where they've won, on home turf where they've won 3. There's another Chewina cross to the far post. Fleming probably went with his wrong foot. He's kind of leaning to his left and trying to go right-footed. He's put his thumbs up. He's just a fraction too deep to go with his head. But again, Shauna's having all sorts of impact in the opening exchanges.
Yeah, Matsson's really struggling to deal with him there. He'd left him in acres of space first of all, and then when he came to close him down, he just doesn't know which way he's going. Gets off balance, and then it's another delicious ball whipped into the back post. It's just a little bit too much on it.
And Medjbury's won it back at the edge of the box, plays it into Fleming. Takes too long to shoot. 2 defenders in front of him. Showing with the shot on the angle. That's blocked away. Villa all over the place defensively in the opening exchanges. Into the 12th minute now. And they're really struggling to get out of their half, or indeed stop Burnley attacking. This is better football in the sense they're controlling possession. And in the end, Pires is a little bit too close for comfort on McGinn, according to the referee, and that's a free kick. But giving the ball away on the edge of their own box, Fleming had a chance, didn't really make up his mind what he was going to do.
Yeah, it didn't look like a striker's attempt, really. I feel like he should have just really, either leapt to try to go with his head, but he was almost facing away from the goal when he made contact with it with his boots, so he was never likely to be heading in from that angle.
Goal for Burnley then, and here they come once more. Hannibal at Medjbury through the middle, wriggled one way then the other, slipped unfortunately for him. I said slipped, it looked like a bit of a slip, but the referee felt there was a tug as well from Tielemans, so it's a free kick to Burnley. It's relatively near the halfway line, but it's more pressure going to be applied on the Villa back line. It probably wasn't the first foul on Medjbri. He did slip, but then Barkley grabbed his shirt anyway before Tielemans dispossessed him. So a little bit silly from Ross Barkley. And one of the changes, of course, for Aston Villa. Anthony stood over the free kick, actually squares it towards the left-hand side, still halfway inside the Villa half. Different angle to cross from. Tanzabi towards the right edge of the area, headed away though by Matson. Burnley recover near the halfway line, have it through Carl Walker, who's closed down by Watkins. Not sure he's had a touch yet. Ball down the channel and looking for the pace of Anthony behind. A little bit too heavy, skips through to Martinez, and Aston Villa have possession back. I did say they hadn't won away, Burnley. They've of course won 2 games home and away, so 4 in total. Well, they have gone 10 without a victory, which does include a defeat to Mansfield as well. Obviously, it's not been a great end to the campaign. There's a long way to go in this game, of course, but 1-0 up, 13.5 minutes on the clock, and Villa just haven't really got going. I'm saying that despite that Rodgers chance, which was a very decent opportunity, but at the back they've looked a little bit haphazard at times. And as I say, we've only played barely 14 minutes, so that'd be a concern for Unai Emery. But this game is far from done. Villa got a little bit more possession, perhaps just growing into their game a touch after a poor start, really, from a side chasing a top 4 position and being in a Europa League final. Clipped down the line by Cash, looking for the run of McGinn, but that just slides a little bit off the outside of the boot, into touch before McGinn can get there, and it will be a throw into Burnley. This one of 3 Premier League games. Of course, there's a big one later on as well. West Ham hosting Aston Villa. But 2 early goals in the 3 matches, one of which scored by Jadon Anthony. And Villa trying to regroup. Tielemans to Rodgers, very central at the moment. Can't find Watkins, only partially cleared as McGinn will shepherd the ball into touch. Aston Villa throw, halfway inside the Burnley half. Right hand side as they attack the villains. Down the line for McGinn, who digs out a cross, but it's not a good one, and hurried clearance in the end from Esteve. Not sure that Luis knew that Esteve was being closed down. Villa have got possession back through Konza, but he's been put under pressure by Fleming and has to go back to Martinez, who smashes it back downfield, looking for the man through the middle. Walker has only partially held it up. Rodgers has it left of the D, goes for the curler, can't keep it down. That is the threat of Aston Villa, though. The pace in behind. Walker only sort of held up the play for a moment. That's probably not where Burnley want Morgan Rodgers shooting from, just to the left of the D.
Yeah, we've seen some screamers from him this season and the season before, so Burnley will be wary of that threat. He seems the most likely for Villa so far, but signs that they're slowly growing into this one now, and they have won a corner. It seemed to deflect, actually. That shot I thought had just gone ballooning over the top, but the referee has decided it was a corner.
In towards the near post, doesn't beat the man at the near post, but it's picked up just in the right back position as a attacking side might play it from a corner. Another delivery, Barkley into a better area, headed away though by Tanzabi. Shot comes in, half shot on the half turn rather from Matson, in the air as well. It was a volley, slightly miscued, wide of the post, but like you say, Villa starting to look a little bit more dangerous. Yeah,
it's just one of them times when the flick up is so inviting that you just have to shoot, even if it's not the best option, because it would be a poster book goal, but he got nowhere near in the end. It bobbled past the 6-yard box. But yeah, Villa growing into this game slowly now after what's been a fantastic first 15 minutes from Burnley.
Yeah, of course Matson under pressure in the Villa left back position, with showing it, putting him under all sorts of pressure, and I'd love to at least fire a shot back in what could be an intriguing battle all afternoon. Showing Chauna has looked particularly lively. It's not always clean, hasn't always beaten Maatsen just simply by beating him, but it's just a fight for the ball that maybe shown as winning at the moment. Maatsen has a throw in for Villa into the 18th minute. Still Burnley 1, Aston Villa 0. Bit of space on the right hand side for Cash. McGinn finds him. Cash maybe 30 yards from the goal line. Waits for McGinn to come up in support, just on the edge of the box. Back to goal, McGinn. Lays it off behind to Lindelof. Now Konza. Mings. Pretty high up the field, Aston Villa, if there's a potential counter for Burnley. They're in controlled possession, but given the amount of space that Cash had, I'm sure Villa fans who've made the trip will be a little bit disappointed that Konza now has it inside his own half, and the game is slowed to walking pace. Burnley, of course, have been full of vim and vigour in the opening 18 minutes. Fatigue might eventually play a part. They've really come out with a bit of purpose, though, that is for sure. Michael Jackson, the interim boss, doesn't want the season to end in a whimper. At least they have got a goal, which I guess from a Burnley perspective is something to celebrate against a top 5 side. They have had their moments against the bigger clubs, but over the course of the season, obviously, it's been a bit of a disaster. But they can't get the ball at the moment, albeit on the halfway line. Villa making Burnley do all the chasing. It's left to right and back again. Konza has it in the centre circle. Is this infuriating for Burnley, or are they just happy? Bit of space actually pops up for Tielemans. Fires it to the right of the D. Just to the edge of the box. Watkins can't quite work the 1-2. Burnley counter, and they counter with pace. Showing it again. Now up against Tyrone Mings, onto his left foot, great diagonal to the opposite side to Jadon Anthony, but he took his eye off the ball, can't control, into touch, throwing Aston Villa, and that's a bit frustrating for the Clarets.
Yeah, but you just asked, will Burnley mind that Aston Villa possession? I think the answer is no, not at all. They were moving it around nicely, Villa, but as soon as it got to the edge of the box, Burnley had the men back to deal with it. They're defending quite deep and then hitting Villa on the counter-attack with the two wingers who've both started the game very brightly. Obviously a goal for Anthony. That one, they just slightly messed up there, that cross-field pass, but I think overall that just plays into Burnley's hands, especially with this early 1-goal lead that they've got.
Yeah, Villa starting to get on top possession-wise and then trying to come forward through Watkins. That doesn't look a great ball in, and Max Weiss, did he get a shout? Did he quite know his bearings? He was aware that Rodgers was coming behind him, and he's parried it well beyond the far post behind for a corner. He was worried that Rodgers just might keep it alive, and of course being a little bit out of position, the goal wasn't guarded. Very tight angle, of course, no guarantee that Rodgers would have got there, but just making sure. Corner kick to Aston Villa. Wasn't a particularly good ball from Ollie Watkins, but they've got a set piece out of it, which Matty Cash has come across to take. Come across because it's on the Villa left. Into just about 21 minutes completed at Turf Moor. Cash with the delivery to the far post. Weiss punches it down into the ground. Hasn't gone very far, but the referee has spotted a foul. He's coming to a crowd. Was it Weiss who got the touch? He's getting the low 5 from Esteve. He's coming to a crowd and a crowd of players. I'm not convinced it's necessarily convincing keeping. The arm is up there. It stops an initial header, but it's only parried it into the edge of the 6-yard box. Is he fouled?
I don't know if he's fouled, but he's definitely knocked off balance a little bit by Tyrone Mings, who is obviously a big lad and full of experience in those situations. I'm sure you'll agree with me on this one, Rob, that it is very soft, the corner foul situation. It seems to always go the way of the defending side, particularly when the goalkeeper's involved, but there doesn't seem a whole lot in that one. Yeah,
he's in a crowd of players, as teams tend to do, and I think it's different if he stood there and suddenly there's a crowd around him, but Rodgers just caught by Carl Walker. Free kick to Villa, but it's inside their own half. Rodgers didn't like the foul, didn't look the worst. It was a foul. I think going back to the goalkeeper, I think it's different when the keeper goes into the crowd himself. Should he expect a clear passage? And it's not as if the touch was obvious or the foul was obvious. As I say, he's gone into a crowd. But there you go. Sometimes goalkeepers get the decision, sometimes they don't. It's a strange one, that one. And I'm sure it'd be controversial one way or another should a goal come from it. Villa back in possession inside their own half. Not playing at a particularly high tempo, Aston Villa. I think Burnley, when they're in the ball, a bit more direct and purposeful. Villa exercising a bit more patience as they have it on the halfway line. Tielemans gets it back off at Barkley. Now inviting Mings forward down the left. He's got Maatsen to his outside. Instead goes to Rodgers. Back to goal Barkley. Cross to Lindelof. Cash on the touchline. All barring Fleming behind the ball for Burnley. Back into the centre circle. Well, Lindelof has it. Tielemans. Barkley to the edge of the box. Watkins here into the area. That's good defending from Sk, but it's only Van McGinn, right edge of the area. Wants it on his left foot. It's still with Aston Villa, but they're just making a little bit of a meal of it and then try and play it down the line for the run of Rodgers. A little bit too heavy, and it's gone behind for a goal kick. Better from Villa, but there was a chance there to get a better ball in. They didn't, and Burnley survived. But we haven't passed the halfway point of their first half, and Burnley, they're not bossing this game, but they are leading. It's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 0. Here's Charlie.
Yeah, that was sort of Aston Villa's possession play at its best and worst simultaneously there. It was just the final ball from the initial move that was a little bit too far, but other than that, it was good play. But then when it was recycled, they sort of ran out of time and space, and Burnley are going to be able to come forward with Schooner again. He's far more direct, looking to be anyway, than the Aston Villa players, but he is ran out by Maatsen that time for a Aston Villa goal kick. Villa have lost just one of their 9 Premier League matches when facing a side already relegated. They've got 5 wins and 3 draws in that time, although that one loss came against Burnley in May 2015. They've opted to play it short from that goal kick, and Mings has it on the left hand side of the Villa box, assessing his options, looking over to the right hand side. He has got some light pressure from Hannibal, but Burnley happy to stay in their shape, try and defend this 1-goal lead. Martin is now inching out of his box with ball at feet and unable to find a long option that he liked the look of, so it's back with Mings once again, really creeping forward here. Aston Villa, Burnley sitting back in 2 banks of 4, and Yuri Tielemans now is the latest man to try a forward pass and then decide he wants to go backwards, but that is a nice ball played forward by Tielemans again, out onto this right hand side with McGinn looking to whip a ball in, and the first contact is from a Burnley defender, able to get it to the edge of their own box but not much further, and Perez is getting harassed by Cash and he can't clear it away. As a result, Burnley threatening to make a meal of this, and once again Villa managed to get it back. Ross Barkley has it on the edge of the box. Now Cash is going to look to whip the ball in again. It gets played instead short to McGinn, who tries a first time pass low into the area, which is cut out, but this is better from Villa, and they're coming again with Ezri Konsa fouled just past the halfway line. He's furious about something. It was Fleming, the man who brought him down. But Villa growing into this game slowly but surely, Rob.
Yeah, and the possession starts to be a concern for Burnley because they've got plenty of creativity there with Tielemans, Barkley, McGinn, Rodgers, and if they're just getting penned back, eventually Villa are going to find their radar, you would think, at least, particularly as Burnley just can't get out of their half. I like the way Burnley are countering with purpose, but I mean they're literally not getting the ball. At the moment it's cleared to the halfway line. Everybody barring Martinez is inside the Burnley half. I mean that doesn't make it easy for Villa, but as I say, they've just given the ball away. Villa, potential counter.
Yep, Burnley coming forward again. Yuri Tielemans is offering very little in the way of pressing and is allowing Burnley to keep going forward. They try and play it through to Hannibal. There's questions of whether he was offside. he stopped in the way that would suggest that he is, but has continued again now. Burnley, though, also happy to just play all the way back to Esteve and Tuanzebe, back on the halfway line now. Kyle Walker finds the man of the half so far, Schroner, who looks to beat his man and whip in a good ball, and it gets to Fleming. It beat a couple of Aston Villa players on the way through. I did not think Fleming was going to be able to get on the end of that, let alone have time to take a touch, and his shot went over the top. He should have been doing better there, really.
Yeah, there's a lot of players who could have done better there. Maatsen just can't stop showing or doing anything. There was a slip in the middle, which of course sometimes you can't necessarily account for, but he's inside the penalty spot. He's got the keeper to beat, and he hasn't hit the target. That's a big chance gone begging. I mean, it's not obviously costly because they're already relegated, but that's probably the kind of thing that's cost Burnley this season. Keeper to be inside the penalty spot, and he's missed the target.
Yeah, he's of course looking to join the Premier League double digits club for this season, but he's not going to get many clearer cut opportunities to do so than that, and he had his hands over his mouth there after missing that. He knows how much of an opportunity that was. Villa with 69% possession now. It's still creeping up all the time, but they've had less attempts on goal overall than the hosts, which will be frustrating for them. It's a lot of what we're looking at right now, really, which is Villa in their own half with the centre-backs looking to work an opportunity. Of course, they have Victor Lindelof, another centre-back, a little bit further forward in that defensive midfield position this afternoon, so you feel that a lot of the creative burden does fall on the feet of Yuri Tielemans, who's on the ball now, looking to drive forward. Finds Matty Cash on the right hand side. He looks to whip in an early ball into the box. Ross Barkley didn't even bother to try and challenge for that one, and Burnley bring it away again, but Villa, snapping at their heels, managed to win it back, and the referee is happy that there was no foul committed there. Yuri Tielemans gets the ball and looks forward once more, but Burnley really narrow at the minute and making it hard for Villa to play through the middle, so they look to go wide onto the left hand side, but Kyle Walker with a brilliant crunching challenge on Morgan Rogers and is able to bring it away, and then that looks like a foul. It's Tyrone Mings the man who's committed it, and it'll be a free kick for Burnley. Kyle Walker, that's brilliant play from the veteran there, right on the edge of the box. He had to get that one right, didn't he?
Yeah, and Maatsen got there first, so if it was a different kind of touch from Maatsen, Walker's probably in trouble. But because he was bringing it from the left side into the box, that's allowed the challenge from Walker. I mean, it's a great challenge, but if he'd hit that ball a little bit straighter, as in down the line of the 18-yard box, then Walker's probably just taken him out, and it's a penalty, but he didn't, and Burnley then won a free kick. I thought the free kick was a little bit soft going the other way, but it's Burnley back on the attack at least.
Yeah, coming down this left-hand side, and it is manages to get a hand on it. It was Pires coming up from left-back that was able to put the ball into the box, but it was a little bit too close to the Aston Villa goalkeeper, and they will come forward again, but once more looking to build it up slowly from the back. Martinez once again has left his box and he's just ambling forward with the ball at feet, but there's not much movement ahead of him. This really would go against what the form book suggested we would be seeing in this game, even if Aston Villa themselves are struggling comparatively with the rest of the season. They've won their last 3 games against Burnley, and we're looking to make it 4 in a row today. They come forward once more as that ball's whipped into the box and knocked away by a Burnley defender, only as far as Fleming, who's come back to defend, and he and Hannibal aren't able to join forces to get it away, and Villa once again get control of the ball, and I think that's Matty Cash there that is tripped up and wins a free kick for his side. That was a blatant foul, that one, and Villa with a free kick just about 5 or 10 yards inside the Burnley half. We see replays of Fleming looking to take it away, and then Hannibal Lindelof was able to get ahead of him, and I think he was probably fouled in the build-up as well, and then referee played advantage, but that one from Matty Cash couldn't go unpunished. Jayden Anthony there just tripping him quite clearly, I think.
Yeah, it's definite contact. He's got a semi-smile on his face, Anthony, as though Cash had made a meal of it. He'd have done exactly the same the other way. There was a potential foul Lindelof and Medjugorje coming together. I actually think Lindelof won the ball and was fouled as the cross from the free kick comes in, but it's headed away by Burnley. Lindelof probably did Hannibal a favour as former United teammates by not making a meal of it, because it's one of those where the player had it, it got away from him, he's dispossessed. I wouldn't say it's dangerous, but he could have easily gone into the book, cross towards the far post, he's kept alive McGinn.
And the ball is into the 6-yard box, and it's just wide by Aston Villa. That was a great opportunity for Ross Barkley there. The cross, much like the opportunity we saw for Burnley a while ago, went all the way to the back post, maybe unexpectedly. It was John McGinn, I think, who kept it alive right on the byline. And Ross Barkley, that's a golden opportunity. He's actually stood on the 6-yard box line, just can't get his feet sorted out, and he just sees his shot dribble wide of that left-hand post.
Yeah, I didn't do you any favours, did I, in the middle of the attack there. He should have done better. I thought it was a great run from, well, first of all, from McGinn and then Barkley, because he was near the far post, but having seen McGinn perhaps just tight on the goal line, he made a real dart from the far post into a central position. He's got there, he's in space, and he just didn't quite get his shot right. Big chance, Villa's best, but off target.
Matty Cash finding his old friend John McGinn on the right hand side for Villa. John McGinn brings it infield and gets himself in a little spot of bother, but somehow manages to emerge with the ball away from 3 or 4 Burnley players, but then is shoulder barged and brought down. He's sort of fortunate there, McGinn, because he got himself a bit tangled up there, but he showed good tenacity to get himself out of it and win a free kick. Yeah, it's nice to see Cash and McGinn reunited back on that right hand side for Villa. Obviously there's been so much change at the club in the space of time that they've both been there, and they've had to fight for their positions, and while a lot of their former teammates have lost out, they've managed to stay in the fold, and they come forward down this right hand side again and win a corner. Still growing into this match, Matty Cash in a heap on the floor. I think he thought it was a corner anyway, but still looking for confirmation of who touched it last. It was indeed a Burnley defender, and John McGinn has come over to take this one. It'll be a left-footed in-swinger as Villa populate the box once again. And that one, once more, doesn't beat the first man. That's not the first one we've seen from Aston Villa from that left-hand side fail to do that. McGinn manages to get the ball back and try and keep this attack going. It's going to be Yuri Tielemans on the edge of the box, who we know loves a long shot, and he tried another one there. It was sort of curling, but always too central, and it just went over the top of the Burnley goal.
Yeah, I think Vice might have got a touch, didn't he, just to help it on its way. So it's going to be a corner. It's a very central shot, and it might not have been dipping enough to go in. It might not have been dipping enough. He's a few yards off his line, so he's making absolute sure. But definitely he took a touch from Vice, in control of it. Didn't make it too elaborate, just did his job, and it's a corner kick. Matty Cash will take it again from the Villa left.
4th corner of the first half for Villa. None for Burnley so far, but they are in the lead of this one. As another long shot comes in, that one was on the half volley, and it looks like from McGinn's shot there may have been another deflection, because he's not going anywhere from his position on the edge of the box. Once again, the Burnley goalkeeper was nowhere there, Vice. He's had a little bit of trouble from these corners so far, and yeah, McGinn's shot just took a deflection on the way. It was hit with venom with his left foot. Matty Cash can go right back where he was a minute ago and whip in another corner. His corners have certainly been better than John McGinn so far, but that one from Ross Barkley just gets nodded on at the near post and goes out for a Burnley goal kick. It's unofficial off-tube studio commentary of this match at Turf Moor. Burnley 1-0 up against Aston Villa. Crystal Palace and Everton are drawing 1-1 meanwhile elsewhere in the Premier League, and Nottingham Forest and Newcastle still goalless. It's Vice the debutant. Dubravka had played every match up to this point of this Premier League campaign and was leading the way in saves, but of course that owes mostly to the fact that Burnley have struggled so much this season, and the fact that Wolves have been chopping and changing their goalkeeper as well. But his mistake against Leeds, leading to Dominic Calvert-Lewin's goal, was seen to be the final nail in the coffin, and Vice was handed a debut. We've seen a foul against Axel Tuanzebe as he tried to bring Burnley forward, and it's a free kick for the home side. It was just one of them where Watkins got underneath him, whether deliberately or not, and it meant he had to come crashing down a long way there, the defender.
Yeah, it's a strange one in the sense that Watkins doesn't get off the ground, and Tanzebi's got his eye on the ball. It could have been unfortunate. He's just miscued a ball, Tanzebi, so he's given Villa a throw in halfway inside the Clarets' half. But I think it's a little bit unfortunate there. I don't think Watkins has had much of an impact in the game. There's Tanzebi and Estev have done a job on him so far. Whether they can sustain it for the rest of the game is open to question. Still Villa bossing possession, and they have created a few chances of late, but of course a couple of them from set pieces. It's not been vintage from Villa up to this point, and that's obviously a reason why they're trailing, but I'd still worry about Burnley. They're seeing less and less of the ball the longer it's gone on. Villa on the attack again. Yeah,
into the Burnley box, and it's at Tielemans once more on the edge of the box, wants to take another shot. It takes the deflection off a couple of Burnley players, and the play's still alive, crossed into the box, and Ollie Watkins at the back post manages to get his head on it. That was a bit chaotic, for Burnley there. They should have got it clear. The ball bounced off a couple of players back into the danger zone, and then the ball was whipped across the far post, and Ollie Watkins was completely unmarked, able to head in for his 12th Premier League goal of the season. And out of nowhere, really, Villa are back on level terms. It's 1-1.
Yeah, nowhere in terms of consistent pressure, but obviously if you go on possession as much as anything, of course I just said they kept Watkins quiet. I wonder, is he offside? Oh, he might have gone a touch too early. Obviously seeing a replay, he's half a stride ahead of the nearest defenders, but maybe Perez at the far post has played him on. I don't think Vice covered himself in glory, trying to sort of punch the ball away, missed it. It was high. Maybe I think he might be a fraction out of position because he didn't go over the player at the far post. So I think he might have slightly misjudged it. He's headed it home unchallenged, unmarked. It's a question of whether he's offside. Carl Walker's having a word with Anthony Taylor. Difficult to say. Perez is the most likely to play him on, but they're checking it at the moment. We don't actually know.
We're currently looking at an angle that tells us absolutely nothing, Rob. They need to get the lines drawn. I thought we were kind of done with using these replays and we just use the technology, but it looks like it has been chalked off. It will remain Burnley 1, Aston Villa 0. Ollie Watkins just went a touch too early, as you said, Rob, but I agree with you about Vice. I think that's a few times now that he's been caught out of position. First of all, when he sort of flapped at that one and gave away a corner when he didn't need to, and then from the resultant corners he's not looked entirely comfortable, and just seems to be struggling positionally, I think, a little bit, as we're looking at the semi-automated offside replay, and it is half a boot that Ollie Watkins was offside, but I think that's certainly clear-cut enough these days to rule it out. It did look from the naked eye when we saw the replays that he had just mistimed his run slightly, the striker, who's not had the kind of season that we have come to expect from him, really. He's sort of growing into it as it comes, as he looks to book a place at the World Cup, but he'll have to wait for his 12th Premier League goal of the season for now.
I thought that was silly as well, and it's very easy when it's only half a foot. What's that, 3 inches? But the defenders the nearest to him weren't going in the same direction, and like you say, he's gone too early. He didn't need to, because there's nobody going to close him down. As I say, very easy when we're talking fine margins, but he might learn from that.
Maatsen and Rodgers linking up on the left-hand side, and Rodgers managed to lay it off to Barkley, who gets a shot in, and that's a well-directed and powerful shot to the right of the Burnley goal, but Vice was able to get both hands behind that one. It looked like it stung him a little bit. It's the first kind of link-up play we've really seen from Maatsen and Rodgers down the left-hand side. Maatsen's been more worried about his defensive duties, but it was nicely worked, and it will be another corner for Aston Villa, who are continuing to try and bang down the Burnley door and get back on level terms before half-time, as the ball is whipped in, and that one has ended up in the back of the net. That one won't be offside from the corner. It's Ross Barkley, the man who managed to run across to the near post to get his head on that one. It was a much better delivery from John McGinn. Barkley rising highest and sort of just lets it brush his head, and it loops over Weiss in the Burnley goal. So it is now Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1.
Yeah, I was getting a bit worried for Burnley because Barkley with his shot was in acres of space just outside the D, and in the build-up to that, Matson was free as a bird down the left side of the area. They're just getting pulled this way and then the other Burnley, and then of course the concede from a set piece, they'll be frustrated. I mean, Barkley's done really well with his header, but the angle isn't great. He's maybe 4 yards off the goal line in front of the near post. The header is fantastic. Again, I'm looking to blame Weiss because it's not much of an angle that Barkley's got to work with there. Surely he could have intercepted. The man on the line couldn't. Villa, I can't say it's not been coming. The possession is just ridiculous. One-way traffic, chances not so much, but the pressure is going to tell, and it has done, and that'll be frustrating for Burnley, considering the goal came from a corner.
Yeah, the possession's ticked over into the 70s now for Aston Villa, and they've had 11 shots to go with that. There's 2 men on the Burnley line actually that were trying to stop that one, but they couldn't. But yeah, I'm with you, Rob. I think the goalkeeper there, because he hadn't come for the ball, so there was no reason for him not to be more on his line looking to make the save. Once again, the young German just a little bit caught unawares there on his Premier League debut. Martinez in the Villa goal is a man who's had many Premier League games at this point, and he looked to play the ball out, but it was a poor pass and has allowed Burnley to come forward. Kyle Walker linking up with Shauna on the right hand side. Back to Walker. Obviously Burnley, after that lightning start, Shauna has faded into the background a little bit, but it's understandable considering the pressure that his side have been under. But Burnley coming forward here with just over 2 minutes of regular time left to play. They'll be desperately disappointed to concede that equaliser late in the first half after what had been a brilliant 15 minutes or so to kick off this match. It's Shauna again on this right hand side looking to make something happen. He plays a little ball inside and wants the return but can't get it. He's ended up in a heap on the floor. It falls to Hannibal, who takes a shot. It was deflected up into the air and Villa will look to take it away. Morgan Rogers tries to be a little bit too clever there with a flick back to Tielemans, and he's given the ball away, and Burnley come again. Tielemans able to block that Shauna corner and block this cross, and it will be a corner for Burnley, their first of the match.
Yeah, I'm a little bit frustrated with Shauna. I think he's had a great first half, but not once, even in this little passage of play, did he try and go on the outside and get to the byline. I mean, the cross, was on his right foot, but he didn't exactly take on a defender, but 3-4 times he has the ball one-on-one with Matson, always comes back onto his left foot. Take him on the outside at least once and you never know what might happen. They've still got a corner though.
Anthony, it's going to be an outswinger, whipped in to the box and headed away, and then a complete miss kick from the attempted shot from a man on the edge of the area from Burnley leads Aston Villa to be able to try and get away. They've released Watkins down this left hand side, but Kyle Walker still with plenty of pace is able to get there first, and Burnley playing with fire a little bit there, looking to play it out from the back, but they've worked it nicely and will come forward again, and then that is just a completely mishit pass. There was no one even onside that would have been able to make the most of it anyway, but they've just completely ceded possession back to Aston Villa. It is 3 minutes of added time in this first half. We've already played 45 seconds of that first minute. Aston Villa with Ezri Konsa looking to find Tielemans, who is pulled down inside the centre circle for a free kick for Aston Villa, and he's stood over it. He wants to take it himself. And Burnley, what do you make of their first half overall, Rob? It started brightly, but they've struggled in the last half an hour or so. Yeah,
it's difficult to maintain a fairly up-tempo, aggressive kind of style, particularly probably if you've not been used to it all season. Obviously they were leading 1-0 and they limited Villa to chances, but the chances have been growing. There's a goal chalked off as the free kick comes in, and that's going to be, I think, a foul against Villa, jumping over the defender. Tanzebi underneath Tyrone Mings. Of course, we just saw a free kick given the other way, Tanzebe over Watkins, so I can't believe he's going to give a penalty. No, he isn't. It's going to be a free kick, but it's difficult to sustain. But having said that, they have conceded an equaliser, and all of a sudden they are more proactive, bodies downfield, so you kind of ask for trouble. Particularly if you're Burnley, who've conceded 71 goals up to this point, if you think you're going to keep Aston Villa out without conceding a goal, you're kind of asking for trouble. They've got the trouble. It's an equaliser, back on level terms, because there has been a bit more positivity from them. Obviously, I criticise Shawina not getting his crosses in or taking on his man, but they sat back and Villa got their reward in the end.
Yeah, Villa pulling this game back to 1-1, desperately looking for points to secure that Champions League place for next season before going to the Europa League final. It would be nice if they were just worrying about ending the 30-year silverware drought rather than both things at once, and obviously the amount of money that comes with Champions League qualifications these days. It is deep in Burnley's half that Aston Villa have the ball. Maatsen with a throw-in gets the ball back. He's looking to drive inside and looks to play the 1-2. He does get on the end of it, and the ball's whipped across the box and just headed away by Burnley, but it's not dead yet, and another cross comes in, cleared away for a Aston Villa throw-in. Playing with fire here, Burnley, because Villa were looking dangerous there, but that is going to be the last action of this first half. It's been an interesting one, and it's one that is all square. Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1.
Half time at Turf Moor. It's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. Ugajugwa's 20-25 yarder parried away by Martinez, but only to the path of Anthony. Made no mistake. Fleming missed the sitter to double the lead, but Villa turned it up and got an equaliser late on. After missing other chances, Barkley with a header at the near post from a corner tied the game up at 1-1. Watkins had an earlier goal chucked off for offside. Half time at Turf Moor. It's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. Ugajugwa's 20-25 yarder parried away by Martinez, but only to the path of Anthony. Made no mistake. Fleming missed the sitter to double the lead, but Villa turned it up and got an equaliser late on. After missing other chances, Barkley with a header at the near post from a corner tied the game up at 1-1. Watkins had an earlier goal chucked off for offside. Half time at Turf Moor. It's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. Ugajugwa's 20-25 yarder parried away by Martinez, but only to the path of Anthony. Made no mistake. Fleming missed the sitter to double the lead, but Villa turned it up and got an equaliser late on. After missing other chances, Barkley with a header at the near post from a corner tied the game up at 1-1. Watkins had an earlier goal chucked off for offside. Half time at Turf Moor. It's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. Ugajugwa's 20-25 yarder parried away by Martinez, but only to the path of Anthony. Made no mistake. Fleming missed the sitter to double the lead, but Villa turned it up and got an equaliser late on. After missing other chances, Barkley with a header at the near post from a corner tied the game up at 1-1. Watkins had an earlier goal chucked off for offside. Half time at Turf Moor. It's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. Ugajugwa's 20-25 yarder parried away by Martinez, but only to the path of Anthony. Made no mistake. Fleming missed the sitter to double the lead, but Villa turned it up and got an equaliser late on. After missing other chances, Barkley with a header at the near post from a corner tied the game up at 1-1. Watkins had an earlier goal chucked off for offside. Half time at Turf Moor, it's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. Ugajugwa's 20-25 yarder parried away by Martinez, but only to the path of Anthony, made no mistake. Fleming missed the sitter to double the lead, but Villa turned it up and got an equaliser late on. After missing other chances, Barkley with a header at the near post from a corner tied the game up at 1-1. Watkins had an earlier goal chucked off for offside. Half time at Turf Moor, it's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. Ugajugwa's 20-25 yarder parried away by Martinez, but only to the path of Anthony, made no mistake. Fleming missed the sitter to double the lead, but Villa turned it up and got an equaliser late on. After missing other chances, Barkley with a header at the near post from a corner tied the game up at 1-1. Watkins had an earlier goal chucked off for offside. Half time at Turf Moor, it's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. Ugajugwa's 20-25 yarder parried away by Martinez, but only to the path of Anthony, made no mistake. Fleming missed the sitter to double the lead, but Villa turned it up and got an equaliser late on. After missing other chances, Barkley with a header at the near post from a corner tied the game up at 1-1. Watkins had an earlier goal chucked off for offside. Half time at Turf Moor, it's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. Ugajugwa's 20-25 yarder parried away by Martinez, but only to the path of Anthony, made no mistake. Fleming missed the sitter to double the lead, but Villa turned it up and got an equaliser late on. After missing other chances, Barkley with a header at the near post from a corner tied the game up at 1-1. Watkins had an earlier goal chucked off for offside. Half time at Turf Moor, it's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. Ugajugwa's 20-25 yarder parried away by Martinez, but only to the path of Anthony, made no mistake. Fleming missed the sitter to double the lead, but Villa turned it up and got an equaliser late on. After missing other chances, Barkley with a header at the near post from a corner tied the game up at 1-1. Watkins had an earlier goal chucked off for offside. Half time at Turf Moor, it's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. Ugajugwa's 20-25 yarder parried away by Martinez, but only to the path of Anthony, made no mistake. Fleming missed the sitter to double the lead, but Villa turned it up and got an equaliser late on. After missing other chances, Barkley with a header at the near post from a corner tied the game up at 1-1. Watkins had an earlier goal chucked off for offside. Half time at Turf Moor, it's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. Ugajugwa's 20-25 yarder parried away by Martinez, but only to the path of Anthony, made no mistake. Fleming missed the sitter to double the lead, but Villa turned it up and got an equaliser late on. After missing other chances, Barkley with a header at the near post from a corner tied the game up at 1-1. Watkins had an earlier goal chucked off for offside. Half time at Turf Moor, it's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. Ugajugwa's 20-25 yarder parried away by Martinez, but only to the path of Anthony, made no mistake. Fleming missed the sitter to double the lead, but Villa turned it up and got an equaliser late on. After missing other chances, Barkley with a header at the near post from a corner tied the game up at 1-1. Watkins had an earlier goal chucked off for offside. Half time at Turf Moor, it's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. Ugajugwa's 20-25 yarder parried away by Martinez, but only to the path of Anthony, made no mistake. Fleming missed the sitter to double the lead, but Villa turned it up and got an equaliser late on. After missing other chances, Barkley with a header at the near post from a corner tied the game up at 1-1. Watkins had an earlier goal chucked off for offside. Half time at Turf Moor, it's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. Ugajugwa's 20-25 yarder parried away by Martinez, but only to the path of Anthony, made no mistake. Fleming missed the sitter to double the lead, but Villa turned it up and got an equaliser late on. After missing other chances, Barkley with a header at the near post from a corner tied the game up at 1-1. Watkins had an earlier goal chucked off for offside. Half time at Turf Moor. It's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. Ugajugwa's 20-25 yarder parried away by Martinez, but only to the path of Anthony. Made no mistake. Fleming missed the sitter to double the lead, but Villa turned it up and got an equaliser late on after missing other chances. Barkley with a header at the near post from a corner tied the game up at 1-1. Watkins had an earlier goal chucked off for offside. Half time at Turf Moor. It's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. Ugajugwa's 20-25 yarder parried away by Martinez, but only to the path of Anthony. Made no mistake. Fleming missed the sitter to double the lead, but Villa turned it up and got an equaliser late on after missing other chances. Barkley with a header at the near post from a corner tied the game up at 1-1. Watkins had an earlier goal chucked off for offside. Half time at Turf Moor. It's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. Ugajugwa's 20-25 yarder parried away by Martinez, but only to the path of Anthony. Made no mistake. Fleming missed the sitter to double the lead, but Villa turned it up and got an equaliser late on after missing other chances. Barkley with a header at the near post from a corner tied the game up at 1-1. Watkins had an earlier goal chucked off for offside. Half time at Turf Moor. It's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. Ugajugwa's 20-25 yarder parried away by Martinez, but only to the path of Anthony. Made no mistake. Fleming missed the sitter to double the lead, but Villa turned it up and got an equaliser late on after missing other chances. Barkley with a header at the near post from a corner tied the game up at 1-1. Watkins had an earlier goal chucked off for offside. Half time at Turf Moor. It's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. Ugajugwa's 20-25 yarder parried away by Martinez, but only to the path of Anthony. Made no mistake. Fleming missed the sitter to double the lead, but Villa turned it up and got an equaliser late on after missing other chances. Barkley with a header at the near post from a corner tied the game up at 1-1. Watkins had an earlier goal chucked off for offside. Half time at Turf Moor. It's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. Ugajugwa's 20-25 yarder parried away by Martinez, but only to the path of Anthony. Made no mistake. Fleming missed the sitter to double the lead, but Villa turned it up and got an equaliser late on after missing other chances. Barkley with a header at the near post from a corner tied the game up at 1-1. Watkins had an earlier goal chucked off for offside. Half time at Turf Moor. It's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. Ugajugwa's 20-25 yarder parried away by Martinez, but only to the path of Anthony. Made no mistake. Fleming missed the sitter to double the lead, but Villa turned it up and got an equaliser late on after missing other chances. Barkley with a header at the near post from a corner tied the game up at 1-1. Watkins had an earlier goal chucked off for offside. Half time at Turf Moor. It's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. Ugajugwa's 20-25 yarder parried away by Martinez, but only to the path of Anthony. Made no mistake. Fleming missed the sitter to double the lead, but Villa turned it up and got an equaliser late on after missing other chances. Barkley with a header at the near post from a corner tied the game up at 1-1. Watkins had an earlier goal chucked off for offside. Half time at Turf Moor. It's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. Ugajugwa's 20-25 yarder parried away by Martinez, but only to the path of Anthony. Made no mistake. Fleming missed the sitter to double the lead, but Villa turned it up and got an equaliser late on after missing other chances. Barkley with a header at the near post from a corner tied the game up at 1-1. Watkins had an earlier goal chucked off for offside. Half time at Turf Moor. It's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. Ugajugwa's 20-25 yarder parried away by Martinez, but only to the path of Anthony. Made no mistake. Fleming missed the sitter to double the lead, but Villa turned it up and got an equaliser late on after missing other chances. Barkley with a header at the near post from a corner tied the game up at 1-1. Watkins had an earlier goal chucked off for offside. Half time at Turf Moor, it's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. Ugajugwa's 20-25 yarder parried away by Martinez, but only to the path of Anthony, made no mistake. Fleming missed the sitter to double the lead, but Villa turned it up and got an equaliser late on. After missing other chances, Barkley with a header at the near post from a corner tied the game up at 1-1. Watkins had an earlier goal chucked off for offside. Half time at Turf Moor, it's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. Ugajugwa's 20-25 yarder parried away by Martinez, but only to the path of Anthony, made no mistake. Fleming missed the sitter to double the lead, but Villa turned it up and got an equaliser late on. After missing other chances, Barkley with a header at the near post from a corner tied the game up at 1-1. Watkins had an earlier goal chucked off for offside. Half time at Turf Moor, it's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. Ugajugwa's 20-25 yarder parried away by Martinez, but only to the path of Anthony, made no mistake. Fleming missed the sitter to double the lead, but Villa turned it up and got an equaliser late on. After missing other chances, Barkley with a header at the near post from a corner tied the game up at 1-1. Watkins had an earlier goal chucked off for offside. Half time at Turf Moor, it's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. Ugajugwa's 20-25 yarder parried away by Martinez, but only to the path of Anthony, made no mistake. Fleming missed the sitter to double the lead, but Villa turned it up and got an equaliser late on. After missing other chances, Barkley with a header at the near post from a corner tied the game up at 1-1. Watkins had an earlier goal chucked off for offside. Half time at Turf Moor, it's Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1. Burnley starting brightly, taking the lead in the 9th minute. A warm welcome back to our coverage of the action taking place at Turf Moor. It is Burnley 1, Aston Villa 1 at the break. That's also the scoreline at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace Everton. It's goalless, Nottingham Forest Newcastle. But Grimsby scored inside the opening minute in the League 2 playoff semi-final. That's at home to Watford, Salford. Doesn't look as though either side is making a change at Turf Moor. Doesn't look like it. I'll confirm that in a moment, so it's as you were. A couple of goals have gone in. Salford have equalised in the 5th minute. So unlike the rest of the playoff games over the course of the weekend so far, there's been multiple goals. Everton have retaken the lead at Crystal Palace. Obviously we're about to resume Burnley Aston Villa. As I say, it doesn't look like any changes are going to be made, so the Burnley lineup is Vice, Walker, Tanzabia, Steb, Perez, Lewis, Ogajugwu, Shauna, Medjbury, Anthony and Fleming. Villa go with Martinez, Matson, Mings, Konza, Cash, Lindelof, Barkley, Tielemans, McGinn, Rodgers and Watkins. The goal scorers, Anthony for Burnley, Barkley for Aston Villa, and the second half has got underway. Obviously Burnley started the game brightly, eventually Villa just the pressure told in the end and they got an equaliser. What are we expecting from either side this half, Charlie?
Well, if it continues like the second 2/3 of that first half did, then you'd think Aston Villa would easily walk this game and get themselves ahead and maybe even get a third and a fourth. They did really start to pull away from Nottingham Forest in that last game in the Europa League semi-finals, as the quality told. But Burnley, the blueprint was there, the way they really came at Villa early in the first half, and we were both disappointed by the fact that they then just decided to sit back for half an hour. It's not the answer, because Aston Villa, if you give them time, they are a fantastic technical team and they will play through you. So I'd just like to see Burnley get a little bit more on the front foot in this half and try and replicate those first 15 minutes that we saw about an hour ago.
Yeah, there was a stoppage because Konza got caught by Fleming. It was accidental. Fleming was closing him down, accidentally trod on his ankle. It didn't look like he was making a challenge as such. He was just trying to then go across to Cash. But there was a stoppage in play where you got a little bit of treatment. Now it's resumed. No yellow cards in the first half. We didn't really see that many tackles go in. There's a great one Carl Walker putting on Maatsen just inside the box. But in terms of foul play, there weren't too many free kicks as Burnley are on the attack down the right-hand side. Cross is dug in. 3 defenders kind of get in their way. I don't think there was any calling there between Konza and Lindelof, but no Burnley players really within reach, and it's easy for Martinez to come out and claim in the end. And Rodgers is making hay down the left-hand side, gets in a bit of a tangle with Tanzabi. Who's fouled who? Both players ended up on the deck. Tanzabi thought he was fouled after winning the ball, but the referees decided he won the ball by fouling. So it's a free kick to Aston Villa outside the left edge of the 18-yard box, maybe 20, 25 yards from goal. I wouldn't say it was shooting range, you never quite know. Really, in the end, it's the angle where you could whip it into the goal mouth and hope there's a touch, or the keeper is slightly misjudged, or runners detract his vision, things like that. I'm not saying, I was going to say it was John McGinn, but no, it's going to be Matty Cash who swings it in to the far post. It's headed actually away from goal by Konza, but he was backpedaling and jumping, so it was a touch too high. Burnley try and counter with Hannibal, who had a quiet game in the first half, but he's gone round Mings and then he's caught. Will be a free kick, and that will be the game's first booking. Not in keeping necessarily with the match. It wasn't the worst challenge, but I think it's because Hannibal had gone past him, and obviously it's stopping an obvious counter.
Yeah, Tyrone Mings always a likely recipient of the first yellow card of the game, but yeah, he knew what he was doing there. He was never trying to win the ball. Hannibal just beat him for pace, and Mings was way out of position and just didn't want that Burnley attack to go any further, so he'll probably be perfectly satisfied with getting in the book there.
Yeah, he is in the book. First of the game, as mentioned. Everton's second goal scorer is Beto. Perhaps I didn't give you the first. Tarkowski put them in front. Sarr equalised, but Beto's restored Everton's advantage. Still no goals at the City ground. Obviously Newcastle not in great form, and Forest beaten 4-0 at the weekend and got a host of injuries, so not sure what people were expecting in that game. Maybe it was 0-0. Free kick to Burnley, which they've launched into the box and into the hands of Emiliano Martinez. And not a great delivery there. Chouna stops the counter though with his pace. Gets to Morgan Rodgers before he creeps into the Burnley half. It is a restart from a throw-in for Villa though. Unai Emery as animated as ever. Obviously got plenty to say as Mings has it in the Villa half. Konza out to the right wing where Cash feeds it down the line for McGinn. He's in a bit of a wrestling match with Perez. He's turned Perez. He has possession. Cash arrives in support. Now halfway inside the Burnley half. Tielemans just recycles to Mings down the channel, looking for the runner Watkins, whose cross is half charged down before being cleared. That was actually Maatsen, I beg his pardon, who's not been afraid to get forward. He never is. Defensively, he's been under pressure from Chouna, but of course, if he's doing the attacking, that will help bring Chouna back into his own half. Ball played down the channel. And for a moment, there's a slight miscommunication. Barkley didn't quite have the pace to beat Luis to the ball, but Vice continued to come. I seem to be looking for errors. He continued to come, even though Luis was obviously going to clear it. It is a throw-in to Aston Villa, which Cash gets back and launches in across, headed away by Esteve. Mings rather miscues it up in the air. Walker helps clear. Fleming tries to keep it alive near the centre circle, but can't. And Villa have possession back. Certainly not the fast-paced start that Burnley enjoyed from the first half, where they seem to be all over Villa. Runners down channels, forcing good attacking positions, got a goal. Fleming, of course, missed a very good chance to double the advantage, but probably after that Villa started to play their better football. As a diagonal is aimed towards Maatsen, but he miscontrols on the touchline, throwing to Burnley. Obviously, Villa, not the deepest squad, but maybe they might start thinking about rotation in the sense that, as you mentioned, getting points to stay in the top 5 is the aim, as Watkins makes a break down the right hand side, feeds it across to Rodgers. It's a bit too high, a bit too far in front of him, and it actually is going to kill out a play for a throw to Burnley. I'm just wondering who might blink first on the manager side, Villa or Burnley. Burnley made 6 changes, but they don't really have anything to play for other than pride. Villa might have other things in mind.
Yeah, especially considering they only made 3 changes from that midweek game. I think, as you say, not the deepest squad, but they do have at least, star power, big names on the bench. Douglas Luiz, of course, is back for a second spell. Buendia as well, Sancho, Bailey, Tammy Abraham. So if they want to refresh that attack, they've got plenty of options as well. Lucadinho as well, the left back, is no mug going forward either. So I would imagine that it would probably be Villa that made the first changes. They need the win more badly as well. So yeah, how long would Emery leave it? Maybe tick past the half an hour mark perhaps?
Down the left goes Madsen. He's run past Shoena, gets to the byline, but then took another touch, inexplicably almost. Didn't need to. He just took an extra touch, which took it away from him behind for a goal kick to Burnley. As he just got the beating of Shoena, and Walker was more in field. He's trying to pick a spot. In fairness to Burnley, there's 5-6 defenders there marking 2 Villa attackers. And maybe Matson was just weighing up his options before he crossed, and unfortunately for him, he took an extra touch. Into the 54th minute at Turf Moor, independent unofficial off-tube studio commentary. And Villa have started reasonably well in the second half. As I say that, they've sprung the offside. Burnley down the right-hand side, fired across. Oh, and it's just too far ahead of Fleming. That was almost out of nothing. I know what Hannibal's trying to do. He's frustrated with himself. Fleming sliding, got a toe on it, nothing more, and it might have even gone out for a throw-in.
Yeah, much less clear-cut than that opportunity Fleming missed in the first half, but that was a golden opportunity. You couldn't really place the blame at Fleming's door, but just a little bit too much pace on that from Hannibal. The front 2 linking up nicely there. How many more opportunities like that are Burnley going to get to hit Villa on the counter-attack, because it came from a Villa mistake, kicking themselves there, that they couldn't make more of that one.
Yeah, it looked to be a good opportunity. For whatever reason, Konza was about 10 yards behind his teammates, marking Fleming, but nobody was tracking the run of Hannibal, and hence he was free as a bird in an onside position. Well found as well, and that's given away on the halfway line by Villa. And now it's Shoena going forward just to the edge of the D. Of course, once it on his left foot, Villa have closed the door. Anthony switches it over to Hannibal, right-hand side. This time he crosses aerially, headed away near post, up in the air early. Hasn't got much distance. Burnley, can they get it into a shooting position? They still have it. An effort towards goal. Anthony, left-footed, not his strongest. Saved comfortably in the end by Martinez. Yeah, after saying when are they going to get their next opportunity to hit Villa on the break from a mistake, Villa just make another one straight away. And I think after being so effusive in our praise of Shoena in the first half, I do think that he really isn't taking anyone on, actually. Oh, as the ball's gone all the way through and have Villa managed to get it in the box, it's Ollie Watkins celebrating the goal. That came all the way through from the kick from Martinez. Burnley just didn't deal with it. Watkins uses pace to get on the end of it and slot in between the legs of the goalkeeper Weiss. It was an unbelievable goal for Villa. Came from absolutely nowhere. We were still dissecting the Burnley opportunity on the other end. Is that the definition of Route 1? Again, there's 2 defenders around Watkins, and Weiss gets himself caught in no man's land. I've definitely got it in for Weiss, it seems, but it's hit long. Can he not allow the defenders to deal with that? I don't know. I think he's made it easy. It's easy to pick holes. It's just that he doesn't make any kind of save. Obviously, if he's in a normal position, that's a tougher finish. But take nothing away from Watkins, his pace and his effort and his hard work. Might have even just took a slight deflection off the shoulder of Esteve, who probably wasn't quite looking at the ball. But that's Route 1. Villa have got the advantage. It's difficult to see this turning around in terms of a result, given the way that the subsequent 48 minutes have gone since Burnley took the lead, even though they've just had a couple of half chances, and obviously that makes life a little bit easier for Aston Villa in terms of their changes, etc. I mean, Route 1 as well. First goal from a corner, second one from a goal. It's not a goal kick because Martinez is outside of his area, but the 2 goals Burnley have conceded will be super frustrating.
Yeah, and I'm with you on Vice, Rob. I think positionally he's been absolutely nowhere all game. I can't even think of saves he's been in a position to make because he's just getting himself all tangled up before he even gets the chance to make a save. He came rushing out there, but he sort of then didn't commit. It just got a lucky bounce off Esteve straight into the path of Watkins. But then at that point, Watkins beats Vice on his left-hand side, and then the ball goes in the middle of the goal. That's kind of how far out to one side he was. And if before you even count the fact that he'd come to the edge of his box as well. So yeah, it's been a challenging Premier League debut for Vice, but I do think it's just that one issue, positioning, which we do see younger goalkeepers falter on sometimes, just not fully understanding where you are on the field. But it's something that he needs to correct quickly, otherwise he's going to ship a few more in this game.
Yeah, Burnley are on the attack though, into the box, shooting chance. Oh, that's in the back of the net. Burnley have equalised. Fleming with a cool side footer from just inside the box. How does the striker have 5 yards of space all around? It was kept alive. Fleming, is he counting the number of chances he's missed in the game on his fingers? But he's got an equaliser pretty much instantaneously for Burnley. I said there was no change to the result. Do the opposite of what I say. But that's a cool finish. What were Villa doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Burnley just got completely in behind them. That's the 3rd time now in the space of 5 minutes either side of that Villa goal where they've just given the ball away deep in their own half, and it is worked nicely from Burnley from that point inwards. They drive into the box, a nice little flick back from Hannibal, who does seem to have a decent little understanding with Fleming actually. That's a really nice, always rising, side-footed shot for his 10th Premier League goal of the season. I think you joke, Rob, but that was what the fingers were for. But yeah, Burnley out of nowhere are right back into this game. What a couple of minutes we've just had there.
Yeah, Ugochukwu with the set-up, backheel from Hannibal. Villa rather lacklustre defending in the end, not really putting pressure on anybody who had touched the ball there. And of course they've only scored with a long ball downfield, so it's back to where we were at half-time, in the sense that it's level pegging. Burnley 2, Aston Villa 2. It's actually 3 minutes between the goals, but obviously after celebrations, etc., in terms of actual play, it's not 3 minutes total. Konza looks for a ball down the line. There's a yellow card brandished. I don't think... I'm not sure who it's for. Konza and Ugochukwu came together. Ugochukwu had his back to Anthony Taylor, so I don't think he's seen the yellow card. I wasn't sure if he's given it to Konza, who might have said something a bit too much. I don't know. There's a yellow card come out, and I'll confirm who that goes to in a moment, as it might actually be for Zian Fleming. Tugging back Konza. I don't know why Konza and Ugochukwu were having a little set to. Verbal set to, that is. Maybe Ugochukwu told Konza to get up. It's a yellow card to Fleming, and there wasn't that much contact. Little touch on the shoulder. But all of a sudden, this game is spicing up a little bit. Obviously, Burnley don't necessarily have a target to play for, but they'll want to just put on a performance, of course, if nothing else, and they have done. They've really given Villa a game going into the final half an hour of regulation. But it is Villa on the attack. Mings works at 1-2, but then treads on the ball. Burnley try and counter. Might be a foul by Ross Barkley. Indeed it is. Free kick. I think Chirina just stopped there and Barkley ran into him. Not necessarily an awful lot Barkley could do with the sudden arrest of movement. But it is it spicing up? Konza was getting a bit verbal. Challenges are going in. it certainly makes the final half hour a bit more interesting.
Yeah, I think Villa will be massively frustrated, and we'll probably see that come out a little bit in their players. They obviously think they're more than good enough to win this game, and there's so much on the line for them. So Burnley can almost play the role of the rattlers, really, and just try and get in Villa's head, see if that allows them more opportunities, because especially with giving the ball away at the back 3 times in the last 10 minutes, all resulting in chances for Burnley, Villa do seem to be losing their heads a little bit here.
Yeah, of course, like you say, there might have been a bit of complacency playing already relegated Burnley, even on away turf, but there's still time for either side to win this game with 28 minutes to go plus stoppage time. Villa have given the ball away a little bit nearer the halfway line, and Okechukwu is bringing it forward. Finds Fleming, who turns 25 yards out, charged down by Tielemans, and ricochets up to Morgan Rogers, who's probably had a quiet second half so far, but then they've won it back. Sharuna with a shot, charged down as well to Hannibal, right hand side, who takes it into the area. Second touch of tackle, it's still crossed in by Sharuna, only headed clear to Hannibal. Back to goal at the moment, but Burnley all of a sudden turning something of a screw as they try and fashion an opening. A couple of shots from distance, never really got into the area. Schooner has it again. This is even further out, but that's saved low to his left by Martinez. Not the most comfortable, but you would be surprised if he was beaten from that range.
Yeah, Sharuna with a couple of shots there in the space of a minute. He's been happy only to cross so far, so seems like he wants to take the game by the scruff of the neck a bit more and try and find this winner for Burnley. For Villa, it would be a real kicker if they only came away here with the draw. It would be their 6th draw on the road this season to go with 6 wins on 6 losses. So it's not a terrible away record, but you do feel that that could be what leads them to miss out on the Champions League and the top 5 anyway, because Bournemouth currently just have an ever so slightly better away record than them.
Villa back at walking pace on the halfway line. Burnley back in defensive positions, but as we've seen over the last 5-10 minutes, they're not slow in getting bodies forward. Maybe that's something that they have been slow to do over the course of the season, but it's a lot easier when there's no pressure, of course, as it's at the feet of Martinez now, and go long again. He's not going to get a second assist with this ball down field. A fight for the loose ball goes the way of Villa in the centre circle as they come forward. Watkins flick. Opportunity down the left-hand side. More Rogers into the box. Stabbed wide of the post by Barkley. Did that take a deflection? Was it saved? Lovely setup from Villa. Oh, it's just a last-ditch intervention from Esteve. I thought it was Rogers who put it wide, but he just towed it away. He's actually deflected off the boot of Barkley, but that's a fine intervention from Esteve. He's prevented the goal. It's actually been given as a corner kick. It should be a goal kick, and bring Charlie in a moment because they've taken the corner short. Madsen gets it back. He's come a little bit further away from goal. Now they'll take a throw in as Sharuna gets a block in. He's following Madsen all over the place. Great intervention from Esteve. Yeah,
brilliant defending, and frustrating for him that he didn't get the full rewards, which should be a goal kick for his side. But yeah, just got that right boot stretched out just before Barkley made contact with the ball and just bounced back off Barkley. Fantastic work.
Long throw attempt from Cash. He's cleared by Tanzabi and then Hannibal up to the halfway line where Aston Villa have it. Working it out to Cash on the right hand side. Time and space to cross, and he does. Headed away by Esteve, only to the edge of the box, and a left footed shot comes in from Tielemans on the run. Not that far wide. Maybe Vice had it covered, and it's just a goal kick.
Yeah, Tielemans, we know what he can do. Left foot, right foot, rolling on the ground or on the bounce, it doesn't matter. He is brilliant at striking it first time, but that wasn't one of his best efforts. It wasn't a million miles away, but it just caught the inside of his left boot, I think a little bit more than he wanted it to. And to be honest, either way, I think it might have been blocked had he got a more fulsome contact on it anyway. Hannibal's down now, clutching. Well, he's just kind of got his arms over his head, really, unsure what exactly he's done, but he does look in a little bit of discomfort here. He's had a good second half, though. He's been one of the main reasons why Burnley have managed to get back in this. He's been scampering around that final third, and a lovely little back heel it was from him to get the assist for Burnley's equaliser. So it does look like they're considering changes now, Burnley.
Yeah, I think that's Josh Lauren who might be coming on. Still Crystal Palace 1, Everton 2, Nottingham Forest 0, Newcastle United 0. It's still Grimsby 1, Salford 1, 2 very early goals in that game. And of course in our game it's still Burnley 2, Aston Villa 2. Of course Burnley in front in the first half, but Villa got an equalised late on in that first period. Villa then went in front in the 56th minute. Long ball, Watkins getting in between two defenders and the keeper. But 3 minutes after that, Fleming coolly side-footed home. If he'd shown that sort of composure for that earlier chance in the first half, he's also had a couple of near misses with a couple of crosses as well. I mean, he might have had a hat-trick on another day. Hannibal's back on his feet. Whether he'll see out the game, I'm not sure. But it's 2-2. And this game is anybody's. Of course, a point will improve Aston Villa's position at the moment. They move on to 59 points. They'd still be behind Liverpool on goal difference, but I guess crucially there'd be 4 points, a full win and more above Bournemouth chasing them. Brighton would be 6 points away. Looks as though Hannibal will be being substituted. So a point is obviously better than nothing, but they'd have expected more. They certainly would have expected more. It's actually Lyle Foster who's coming on for Burnley, so I might argue that's a little bit more attacking for the home side. But we've got a quarter of the game left. It's anybody's, 2-2. And here's Charlie till full time.
Yeah, good performance that from Hannibal. 4 chances created in the match, which is exactly what you want from your central attacking midfielder. But Foster maybe presents the opportunity for a bit of a reshuffle and to have 2 out-and-out attackers up there. Fleming, of course, getting a goal and in the book in quick succession. So it'll be interesting to see if he sees out these final 22 minutes or so. It'll be Villa to come forward first though, trying to spray it down the left-hand side to Maatsen, who does well there. He's got 2 men tracking back with him, and he is only able to deflect off one into the other, and it doesn't go out for a throw, and I think as he was expecting, and Burnley then come forward, but Mings is across to cover and finds Morgan Rogers tracking back on the left touchline. Aston Villa once more looking to create from centre-back possession first and foremost, and that one from Mings is unsuccessful. And finally a good bit of positional play from Vicer as he comes sprinting out of his box to be the first man to get to that one, and out for an Aston Villa throw-in. Play resumes on the left-hand side for Villa, and once more they look to work it through the centre-backs to this right-hand side with Matty Cash, who is then 2 passes later dispossessed, and Burnley come forward. They've got 4 bodies forward. Aston Villa have 5 back, but Burnley coming down this right-hand side. It's played back to no one. Unfortunately, that pass was completely misjudged, and Shona was not able to get on the end of it. Morgan Rogers, now the man in possession, worked all the way back to Emi Martinez. There's 3 Aston Villa players in their own box, not even including the goalkeeper. That is just the way of modern football. They want to play it out from the back, and they're doing so successfully. McGinn, Ross Barkley then tries a pass on the half turn, and it is a thumping block that goes back into the Aston Villa defence, and once again it's walking pace from Villa. Not really showing the urgency needed to get back in this game so far, but Maatsen's been released down the left-hand side, whips a ball into the box, and it's headed away by Perez, the Burnley left-back. And Aston Villa had regained control of the ball, but lose it once more, and this is a marauding run forward here from Burnley. It was Anthony looking to go all on his own, but was finally stopped by a combination of 3 Aston Villa players. This game's becoming a little bit more end-to-end now because it's back with Maatsen on the left-hand side, looks to curl in another floated ball, but Ross Barkley wasn't able to get to that one, and once more Weiss shows a little bit better positioning to get 2 hands to the ball. And then once more it's a Burnley counter-attack stopped by a somewhat cynical challenge from a Villa player. This time it's Ollie Watkins. He avoids going in the book. It was deeper, that one, and definitely not a goal-scoring opportunity just yet. The chances in terms of shots look really even now, actually. 13 attempts for Burnley, 14 for Villa, and then 1 more on target for Burnley with 5 compared to Villa, and therefore, so credit to Burnley for really roaring back into this game in a way that we didn't really see coming. It seemed like it was going to be one-way traffic for Villa, especially after they got their noses in front through that crazy Route 1 goal. Tielemans has dispossessed his man and plays it into Barkley's shot / cross is once again blocked by Estev. He's got Barkley's number so far in this second half, and out for another corner for Aston Villa.
Yeah, good play again. I mean, both sides are forcing turnovers. I mean, Barkley, you mentioned Hannibal. I think Barkley's had a good game for Villa in the sense that he's getting into positions. If his finishing was on point, he might have scored multiple goals. But yeah, like you say, end-to-end stuff, both sides having their moments.
McGinn already with an assist from a corner tee, whips that one in to the 6-yard box, and the keeper once again looked like he was in trouble, but one of his defenders managed to get it away, much to his thanks. Matty Cash looking to whip the ball in again now, but that one's got too much on it and trickles out for a goal kick. So Burnley now, 73 minutes gone. Can Burnley find, or Aston Villa find a winner? Aston Villa are going to make 2 changes. It's Buendia and Luca Dean who are stripped off and ready to come on. It's 2-2 in another game as well, actually. Crystal Palace against Everton, who got the final goal in that one. I'm not quite sure. Well, they're not final, that's the wrong wording, because there is still time to go in that match. But yeah, 2-2 for now, and Newcastle United have managed to get themselves ahead of Nottingham Forest for what would be a crucial away win. So the 2 substitutes are on the field now. Just waiting for confirmation of who they've replaced. But both fairly aggressive substitutions, despite the fact that one of them's a left back. We know that Luca Dean loves to come forward, and come forward Aston Villa are, but nothing is made of that one. And it's pumped down the pitch by Burnley. And Aston Villa once again regaining possession, looking to drive forward. It's Tielemans who plays a brilliant ball over the top to Ollie Watkins, but he just can't get it in control of his feet, so he has to be run wide to the left, and the play's recycled, but it does get into the box, and John McGinn at the back post gets a shot away with his left foot, but he can't quite get that one to trouble the goalkeeper. As Luca Dean has come on for Ian Maatsen, unsurprisingly, a straight swap on the left-hand side there, and it's Victor Lindelof who's been playing that sort of CDM role that makes way for Buendia. So a slightly more attacking substitution for Aston Villa as they look to get back into this game. Burnley just tried to release Schooner down that right hand side once more, but even he with his fantastic pace couldn't get on the end of that one. And Aston Villa once more, the amount of times, Rob, that their centre backs have been walking on the ball has been quite remarkable in this match.
Yeah, it's incredible that they've not really done that when they've been in front. Admittedly, they've only been in front 3 minutes, but I'm thinking, why aren't you progressing the ball a little bit more? I think it's just the way Unai Emery plays. And of course, saw in the first half eventually all that running as they break down the left-hand side again. Early cross to the far post, arriving late. Oh, he's missed the target. Matty Cash, John McGinn, I beg his pardon. It bounced wide of the post in the end. He's got that. It's not the whole goal, but he's got nobody close to him. He's got to hit the target. Great ball in. It did bounce in front of him, but I think that arguably made it easier. But it's a gilt-edged chance gone wide.
Yeah, Luca Dean's first involvement was an absolutely brilliant delivery and probably trumping anything that Maatsen was able to deliver in the final third in the first 75 minutes of this match. But John McGinn, it was just bounced to that awkward length in front of him where he didn't know whether he wanted to take it on with his weaker right foot or with his head. I would probably agree with you, Rob, that it should have been the right foot that he'd gone with rather than a stooping header, or if you are going to head it, then dive for the header, don't just kind of drop your head down. But it's another chance gone begging for Aston Villa, and it's Burnley now who are going to make some more changes. So the ball's out for a throw-in on the left-hand side. Aston Villa want to take it quickly, but I think they felt that there was a Burnley player. Burnley want to take it quickly. No, Aston Villa. I was right the first time. But I think they were a little bit frustrated that a Burnley player got a little bit too close for comfort. And finally, it has been taken now into Ross Barkley. As Riconsa spraying it out to the right-hand side for Matty Cash. Being closed down all the time and gets his feet in a tangle. He's now backtracking away from goal. He loses out to Anthony. A crucial little touch there from Barkley to halt the attack for a moment. But Burnley still have possession. And they'll look to build from the back down this right hand side. Kyle Walker looks to Esteve, who then plays it back into Anthony, who initially looked like he had a fantastic chance to break, but they managed to keep the play alive. And Perez tries a cross from 35 yards out, wide left, and it hits the first man. And that was a little bit inadvisable, and now it's Villa coming forward with Morgan Rogers being tracked by Kyle Walker the whole way. Walker's happy and thinks that he's done enough to win a throw-in for his side. He's arguing, he was convinced, or was at least trying to portray that of a man who thought he'd won the ball there, but eventually he has to admit that, but accept the fact that it's going to be a throw-in for Villa instead. It's Luca Dean, the substitute, stood with the ball in his right hand. But first of all, we're going to see these substitutions. So the referee, Anthony Taylor, didn't want that throw-in to be taken quickly. And the substitutes are about to come on the pitch. We're seeing shots in the meantime of the Burnley fans who look appreciative of the efforts that their players have gone to so far in this game. And 12 minutes left. Can they grab something from it? It's Ogachukwu coming off and Fleming, so he won't make the whole 90 minutes with that yellow card, and it's Laurent and Amdouni who are going to be coming on. What do you make of those substitutions? Do you think it's going to be Burnley going for the win here, or do you think they're happy to consolidate this point? Well, it's been a fairly rare point in this troublesome season for them.
Yeah, certainly of late. I'm a little bit surprised by Ogachukwu getting taken off. Thought he had a decent game. Looks like Douglas Luiz is also coming on for Aston Villa. Yeah, a little bit surprised. Not surprised necessarily that Fleming has made way being on a yellow card. Bogart's come on too. Cash and Barkley are the two to make way for Aston Villa. And of course, I suppose they have been more aggressive with their changes as the long throw is cleared by Burnley. Villa retrieve on the halfway line. They have made some aggressive changes. Obviously, Bendir's come on, so maybe Barkley, yes, okay, you might expect it, but I mean, he's got into some great positions. Another day he's scoring 3-4 goals. So I'm a little bit surprised by that. In that sense, and I don't think Cash has done much wrong. Could be fatigue, I don't know, but obviously changes from both sides. I just don't think it's been a helter-skelter game where they're necessarily, the lungs are bursting because of all the running, because as we've talked about, Villa have possession, and half the time everybody stood still.
Yeah, and we're seeing that right now. Once more, Villa with those two centre-backs in possession. Mings plays it forward and then gets it straight back. There are runners in front of him, but he sort of missed the opportunity there to play Dean in down the left-hand side, and instead he goes to his midfield general Tielemans instead, and Mings gets the ball back and is coming forward now, and he's going to whip the ball in himself, and it goes all the way to the back post with McGinn, who tries to take a touch, and it just gets a little bit away from him, so he goes back to Bogard, who then tries the ball into the back post, and Kyle Walker is happy to just let that one sail over his head. But promising signs for Aston Villa somewhat, although that was a messy attack to say the least.
Yeah, I thought it was a little bit too much time on the ball for Bogard to pick his spot. I didn't think it was the worst ball then, but it looks bad because nobody's running. And of course Walker wasn't sure. It was a late sort of duck to get out of the way because he's assuming that somebody's going to attack it. I mean, I've talked about fatigue. It's not helter-skelter stuff, but obviously Villa, particularly, they played midweek. They might be tired. Of course, I imagine all the celebrating they've done as well. That might have taken something from them. But 8 minutes to go, and Burnley heading for a point at the moment, which will keep others interested in the Champions League race. Oh, a dodgy header back from Tanzebi, nearly into the path of Watkins, nearly, but it does go through to Weiss, and Burnley back in possession.
Burnley coming forward down the right hand side now, as that's a fantastic recovering tackle from Tielemans, but unfortunately for him it doesn't stick, and Burnley still able to come forward. That's a crossfield pass attempted to find Jadon Anthony on the left hand side, but it is cut out by Bogard, the substitute. Burnley get us back underway and working the ball with some neat triangles on the left hand side, and once more, as both teams have wanted to do all game, it's back with that centre back pairing, and once more as they've come forward they've missed out, and then Tielemans misplaces a pass and a potential Aston Villa counter attack goes begging, and Burnley coming forward once more with Pires finding Laurent, the substitute, and then back to Pires and Jadon Anthony. This doesn't feel like a game that's currently 2-2. It feels like both 2-2 in the 83rd minute. It feels like both teams are just still feeling each other out, really, sizing each other up, but there is only 7 minutes of normal play left. The shot does come in, and that is beaten away by Martinez. That one had a bit of venom behind it, but it was close to him on this left-hand side. It was Amdouni, the substitute, who led it off, but Martinez always had that one covered on his near post.
Yeah, still a decent strike, and he's run a long way with it to pull the trigger. He's gone near post, from 25 plus yards out. Tough to beat a keeper at near post, particularly one as good as Martinez. But obviously it's a long throw situation. I mean, if I'm Burnley, I would go for the win, obviously. A draw is going to achieve nothing other than saying we've got a point. They've won a corner, taking the throw in short, and Anthony's just played it off the legs of Digne. So it will be a corner. I say that because Villa probably don't want this game. They've played on Thursday, big win. The pressure's on them. They don't want this game. They want this game to be easy, and it hasn't been. If I was Burnley, I'd really go for the 3 points. I'd risk the 3 for the sake of 1.
Absolutely, just the second corner for Burnley compared to 8 for Aston Villa. It's going to be an outswinger. It's delivered now, and it's cleared fairly comfortably by Aston Villa, and once more referee Anthony Taylor has adjudged there was some pushing and shoving in the box that went against the defending side in Aston Villa, so it will be a free kick, and we're going to see another substitute. It's Leon Bailey now coming on for John McGinn, who did play a massive part in that semi-final win at the weekend, so it's unsurprising that he can't make the full 90 on this occasion. But yeah, it does feel like a real opportunity missed for Aston Villa if it was to stay like this, to move closer to getting Champions League wrapped up. They've obviously got 3 more opportunities to do so, but when you actually look on paper at what those matches are, it's Liverpool at home on Friday the 15th of May, and then the Europa League final, of course, against Freiburg, and then Manchester City away. So they've got 2 of the best teams in the land still to come, and the top 5 position in the league is looking somewhat precarious. As for Burnley, obviously nothing left to play for, but they've got completely contrasting final matches of the season. They're away at Arsenal, and then they play Burnley at home on the last day of the season. Aston Villa on the ball now, coming forward. It is cut out momentarily, but they managed to keep possession going through Tielemans.
Yeah, they play Wolves at home. Burnley do. Yeah, they're not going to get anything from Arsenal, are they? I mean, they do it. They've done it in games. It's not unusual, the walking pace. But that first half, they haven't carried it into the second. They were dominating, they were pushing Burnley back, controlling the ball, controlling the tempo. If they're in control, then that's fine, but they haven't been controlling the second half. I can't believe how many subs we're having at different periods of the game. Why can't we do these a little bit closer together? It's Burnley are making the changes now. Anthony, you've got the goal scoring going. He's one to make way. He's going to be replaced by Florentino. I didn't quite see who the other James Ward-Prowse is coming on. He started the last match, of course. That was against Leeds. Didn't fare so well, but maybe he can come up with a winner. 3 minutes or so. I think there'll be some added time. It's quite ridiculous, as I say, for me at least. Brun Larsen and Ward-Prowse are the two to enter. All these substitutions at different times. It's ruining the end of the game.
Yeah, that's exactly the reason why we have these sort of windows, don't we? So I haven't been counting window, but that must surely be it for substitutes now, because it feels like there's been at least... it feels like there's been 6 different times when a substitute's been made. I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head, but that may do it for substitutes for the rest of the game. In terms of them impacting the game, it seems like Burnley's more likely to do so at the minute, although Luca Dean did play a nice ball in with his first touch about 10 minutes ago. Aston Villa with possession in their own half once more. It's Martinez coming out of his box. He's good. He's about as far out of his box as the box is big at the minute, but there's still no pressure coming from Burnley. I guess that's what Aston Villa want, really, is for Burnley to commit men forwards and leave gaps, but Villa finding the gaps themselves nonetheless. They come forward here as Morgan Rogers gets the ball and plays a little bit of an interchange with a couple of teammates. He's been pushed out onto the left-hand side. It's Buendia, plays it into Dean, his fellow substitute. Dean whips the ball in, but it's headed away only as far as Buendia. He looks to take on a couple of men. He's gone down in the box. He will obviously want a penalty. Kyle Walker says no chance, and his shoes come off. I thought his ankle had snapped in half for a second there when he lifted it up, but his shoes come off. He's saying that is evidence enough that he should get a penalty, and the players are now swarming the referee. But I think I know what you're going to say, Rob, but that looked a little bit soft, didn't it?
Well, for me, yeah, it is soft. It's super soft in the sense that the ball is straight, left of centre, straight. His right leg comes out and it's in the pathway of Walker. I don't think Walker's making a challenge. I think Walker is running, and Buendia has motioned his foot under. I mean, that sounds like I'm making excuses. He hasn't made a challenge, Kyle Walker. Buendia has stuck his leg out to the right, and it's where Kyle Walker is planting his foot. He's not making a tackle, he's running. And at the very worst, you're going to say it's a collision, a coming together. It's a footballing incident. It's not a tackle. For me, that can't be a foul. But I'm a dinosaur. Hopefully VAR will not. It's a goal kick which has been taken. So VAR have had a look, and I'm fully with them.
Nottingham Forest have managed a late equaliser in the 88th minute against Newcastle. It's Elliot Anderson, the former Newcastle man, to get that goal. So all 3 2 o'clock kickoffs in the Premier League currently heading for draws, unless we see some late drama. We're hoping for some here in this unofficial off-tube studio commentary of Burnley versus Aston Villa, as we've just ticked over the 90-minute mark, and we've got 6 minutes of added time. Villa won a free kick and look to take it quickly, catch Burnley unaware. They're still got a man deficit, Villa, but they're looking to come forward. Morgan Rogers makes a hash of that one and loses out, and then he slips over the ball and loses possession for a second time when it looked like he might be able to keep hold of it. Some Villa and Burnley players were still arguing about the initial decision when the ball was pumped long, but Burnley managed to get enough bodies back in time to deal with that one. It's a hopeful ball forward from Konsa to no one, really, that just goes straight to Tuanzebe, his opposite number. He plays a slightly more cultured ball out to the right hand side to Schroner, but he is unable to do anything with that one. Unai Emery's ended up with the ball in hand. He plants it on the ground in frustration. He's not happy with anything that he's seen this afternoon by the looks of it, and certainly he won't be happy with just a point in this one when he's still looking for vital wins to get his team back in the promised land of the Champions League. And still seeing Emery still not entirely happy. He's trying to get his team fired up, but they've got some defending to do from a Burnley throw-in about halfway into the Aston Villa half on the right hand side. Does manage to get it into the box from that point, but only right at the very edge of the box, and Villa can get it away easily, and it's forced all the way back to Weiss in the Burnley goal. Plays the ball out. It's a clever little ball out to the left hand side where Perez was waiting to receive. He plays back inside to the substitute Ward-Prowse, who plays a terrible pass that Kyle Walker is just able to get back to and keep the play alive, but then he lumps the ball downfield only as far as Luca Dean, who can get the ball back for Aston Villa and look to send them on their way. But once again, possession changing hands a lot in midfield in this second half. Bogard comes away with it down the right hand side. There's Riconza again, standing, walking on the ball, really taking the sting out of this Aston Villa attack, but you could also say they're just looking to be patient, and this one looks like it had been worked well initially because they released Morgan Rogers down that left hand side, but he just ran out of room. Burnley able to get the ball away. Again, the ball is given away in a situation where it doesn't need to, and here come Aston Villa, and the shot comes in. It was a sort of attempted loop curled shot from Buendia that just never really had any power behind it, and Weiss was able to get two hands behind that one pretty easily, and he takes no time in releasing the ball and getting Burnley on the move again down the left hand side, and they've won a throw-in around on the halfway line. Are we going to see a winner in this, Rob? It feels like it's petering out slightly.
Yeah, it's probably not going to be a winner. I think Villa are obviously going to point to a penalty. I don't think it is a penalty. They might even be claiming that's handball. It's hit the back of Tanzania. Bente is appealing for everything at the moment. VAR's probably just having a look. But they've had 65% possession to Burnley's 35, obviously. They've been outshot. They've been outshot on target. They might argue they've had a couple of big chances. Barkley denied. They scored a goal, obviously, but McGinn, the far post header, free. He's got to hit the target. Barkley maybe could have shot earlier before the challenge came in for Esteve. And they're going to point to the penalty claim. But they've had all that possession, and Burnley have had more shots. Burnley are relegated. They've got nobody to blame but themselves. I don't think the tempo has been there from the get-go. That's been a problem. The big players, maybe the season's catching up with them. Watkins has been relatively quiet. I think Rogers has been quiet. Here go Burnley. Ball's
fizzed in across from the left-hand side, and the Burnley players just can't quite get their feet sorted and get the shot away. That looked like a golden opportunity for the Clarets there, and then forward come Aston Villa. Leon Bailey manages to get a clever little pass through to Ollie Watkins, but then he couldn't pick anyone out in the centre. He was frustrated, throwing his arms in the air, saying that he didn't have the options, but regardless, that ball was hit way too far behind where it needed to go. It was sort of leaving the box rather than threatening it. And we've just got 1 minute left of this one now. For can anyone find this winner? Aston Villa need it more than Burnley, but they haven't looked any more likely. Salford City have taken a 2-1 lead into half-time against Grimsby Town in the League 2 playoff first leg, so finally some playoff goals in that one. We've had 4 goals in this one. Is there going to be a fifth? As a shot comes in, and Weiss, who has grown into the game in fairness, again manages to get 2 hands to that one from Douglas Luiz.
Yeah, it's a decent strike. It's hit the target. It's creeping inside the post. Perhaps lacked a bit of venom. I thought the better chance from positionally came at the other end, Amdouni, but it was an awkward. It was not quite a half volley, so it bounced a little bit further ahead of him than a half volley would be. So obviously he miscued it, but he's free, 12 yards out, central position. Villa caught napping once again. It's a similar position to where Fleming scored from. I thought that was a big chance for Burnley, certainly their biggest since equalising half an hour ago and counting, beyond half an hour ago. I think Burnley have dug in and they've done a job. They're obviously second best in terms of squad and quality. In fact, that's the full-time whistle. Villa have been held to a 2-2 draw at Burnley. They've got one more home game to go, but that might be a say in the race for the top 5. Full-time, Burnley 2, Aston Villa 2.
Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting markets, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck